Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto has Hyuga clan eyes and harem. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Solvdrage and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1. Uzumaki Naruto sat quietly on a bench as he watched the engineers, artists, and ANBU guards begin their preparations. Tsunade's position had been officially and unanimously approved by the daimyo and the Koshaku of the Land of Fire's Hans. The civilian approval was little more than a rubber stamp for the rarely assembled Jonin Council's election. Naruto smiled as he heard someone shout about proportion in the distance. He was actually watching quite intently as he wanted to see the process that would go into having his face put on the Hokage monument. It was also a nice distraction from all the confusion Naruto was experiencing. The biggest change in the young man's life was the incredible outpouring of respect he had recently received from the citizens of Konoha. Naruto had finally stopped counting the number of strangers that had stopped him in the streets to congratulate him on beating Neji, convincing Tsunade to return, or helping defeat Orochimaru and the traitor Kabuto. Naruto had always longed for the acknowledgement of the village, and now that he was receiving it, he honestly wasn't sure how he should react. So, he took some of Erosenin's advice. You can get more of what you want with a kind word, a smile, and a powerful jutsu than you can with just a kind word and a smile. Well, the Rasengan definitely counts as a powerful jutsu. Naruto thought with a sense of pride he had never truly experienced before. Next, he hadn't expected the contents of the daimyo and Koshaku's recommendation to include a request for Naruto to be promoted. Evidently, one of the Kage Bunshin Naruto had created had saved the life of one of the Koshaku's young sons. It was another wonderful feeling to be recognized outside the village. Naruto was still kind of shocked that Wave had named Tizuna's bridge after him. The past few weeks had been a blur and Naruto absent-mindedly ran his hand along a pouch on his Chunin vest. Naruto was also confused about the direction of Team 7. It was obvious there was a lot of tension that just wasn't there before Naruto and Sasuke had run into Itachi. Sasuke had really closed himself off after being released from the hospital. For a time, Naruto had considered going to Sasuke and offering to help with his quest for vengeance. The thought died as quickly as it had been born. There was no way Sasuke's ego would let him accept any help. Naruto had seen firsthand that Sasuke was considering him a true rival and a threat. Once again, part of Naruto was thrilled to have his abilities acknowledged by Sasuke. Sasuke's acknowledgement of Naruto as a strong shinobi had been one of the blonde-haired ninja's goals for as long as Naruto could remember. It was just a bummer that the rivalry had become so tense and angry. Naruto really wanted their rivalry to be like Kakashi-sensei's rivalry with Super Bushy Brows. The two Jonin competed in everything, but were clearly really close friends and trusted each other. Naruto would be content being the might guy with better fashion sense of the pair. After all, Sasuke was infuriatingly hip, orange was superior to green, and both Naruto and Sasuke were really talented. Finally, Naruto was very confused about girls. He still liked Sakura-chan a lot, but he wasn't sure if it was the same way as it had been. There was still that bit of a flutter in his belly whenever she smiled at him. Naruto, however, was beginning to accept that she would never really like him in the same way. That truth had finally been driven home when Sakura had thrown herself at Sasuke after Tsunade had brought him out of that coma. Sakura truly loved Sasuke. As Naruto's romantic interest in Sakura began to wane, another pair of girls had caught his attention. Naruto thought Gaara's sister was really pretty and a strong kunoichi, but that was the extent of Naruto's interest. The attention Naruto paid to Temari was likely the perverted ideals of Erosenin worming their way into Naruto. Hyuga Hinata had definitely caught Naruto's attention, though. Her determination in the fight against Neji had really caught Naruto's attention. Naruto really felt a connection with Hinata's desire to be acknowledged and to grow as a person and ninja. She had really saved him from his doubt before the fight against Neji. I wonder what Iruka-sensei will say. Naruto thought out loud and decided to go check in with his favorite teacher. Iruka-sensei was also the most mature and, most importantly, the least perverted of his teachers. Naruto made his way through the bustle of workers scurrying from one reconstruction project to another. The academy was roughly in the same building as the Hokage Tower. The importance of the building meant that it was heavily guarded at all times. Naruto often bragged about his infiltration skills to Sasuke and Sakura regarding his recovery of the Scroll of Seals, but sneaking into the academy and tower were no longer necessary. A guard stopped Naruto and asked for his ninja identification number. Naruto's prompt answer allayed the man's fears. Unfortunately, Naruto made it only 3 steps into the building when the guard called for him to stop. Uzumaki-san, I would like to personally thank you for all you have done for the village. We all owe you a great deal, the Chunin said with a bow. Naruto really did enjoy all the praise and positive attention. There was a part of him that really wanted to stay and hear all the great things this guy would say about Naruto's accomplishments. Unfortunately, the young Jinchuriki really wanted to get Iruka's help with his Sakura and Hinata situation. Ah, thanks, Naruto said with a smile and a sheepish hand to the back of his head. I have some things to take care of. Of course, don't let me delay you, the Chunin responded enthusiastically. Naruto waved to the man and found his way to the main academy classroom. Iruka was finishing up a lesson on how to set up traps to slow down pursuing enemy shinobi. Naruto stood quietly in the back of the room as his favorite teacher asked if any of the students had questions. After waiting a moment, Naruto was confident that none of the students had questions, and raised his hand for a question. Iruka looked to his surrogate little brother with a smile. What is it, Naruto? Why didn't we learn practical stuff like this when I was here? If you had taught this stuff, I would have actually paid attention. There was political opposition to such a militant curriculum before the invasion, Iruka explained. Are there any further questions? The students shook their heads and the second Iruka said dismissed the children swarmed Naruto. He chuckled at the attention and made a kage bunshin. This fellow can answer your questions. I need to talk to Iruka-sensei about important ninja stuff. As the kage bunshin lead the gaggle of gakis outside, Naruto jogged up to Iruka. Hey, Iruka-sensei. Hello, Naruto. Iruka returned the greeting. What is this important ninja stuff you need my help with? Naruto blushed a bit. Well, it's about girls. The last word was little more than a whisper. Iruka's gentle smile became a full-on amused smirk. Sakiko-sensei is going to take over the next lesson. We can talk in the teacher's lounge. Iruka motioned to the door. Sakiko-sensei? I don't know her, Naruto mentioned casually as he followed Iruka. Iruka looked away. She replaced Suzume-sensei. Suzume was killed protecting civilians from Odo shinobi. I'll pay my respects at the memorial stone later, Naruto promised solemnly. The two Chunin entered the lounge. Naruto sat down across from Iruka and the pair sat quietly for a moment. It was a silent tribute to not only Suzume, but all their fallen comrades. This will never get any easier, will it? No, Naruto, it won't, Iruka answered. That pain is actually good. If your heart aches for your fallen comrades, it means you are still a human being as well as a shinobi. Naruto nodded and remained silent. Thanks, Iruka-sensei. Can we talk about Hinata-chan and Sakura-chan now? Iruka chuckled. Oh, this really is important ninja stuff. What advice do you need, Naruto? Naruto blushed. Well, I don't know what to do. I still kinda like Sakura-chan, but I know I've got no chance. Then there's Hinata-chan. I mean, after the Chunin exams I've been thinking about her a bunch. Go on, Iruka encouraged with an understanding smile. He braced himself for Naruto to ramble a bit. The young man may be a Chunin now, but Naruto was still a teenage boy struggling with his feelings. There's a couple of things that stand out, Naruto admitted. Hinata-chan was always the only girl who didn't treat me like I was polluting the air around Sasuke. She was the only girl who didn't chase Sasuke around, now that I think about it. She didn't chase Sasuke around, did she? Iruka fought off a chuckle. Naruto's expression was so earnest that there was no chance of the teacher's smile fading away. Don't worry, Naruto. Your memory isn't idealized. Hinata had no interest in Sasuke whatsoever. She had eyes for no one but you. How was she not the number one kunoichi then? Naruto asked, bewildered. Hinata had been smart enough not to go googly-eyed at Sasuke. It baffled his mind that Hinata was not the number one kunoichi. Heck, she's also awesome in taijutsu. Didn't you see her fight? I mean, the teacher held up a hand to slow Naruto down. Hinata was very highly ranked. I can't go into details, but there are reasons. But what did Hinata do at the Chunin exams to catch your attention? Well, Naruto started to explain and, to Iruka's enormous amusement, blushed. We sat next to each other in the first test. She offered to let me copy her answers. I thought at first that it was a trap, but Hinata-chan was always way too nice to do something like that. She told me she didn't want me to disappear there. There haven't been many people other than you who have been willing to go out on a limb like that for me. Naruto continued his explanation of the first test. About halfway through his recounting of the preliminary matches, he paused. After seeing what Niji did, I was so mad. I had to focus on Hinata so I wouldn't, you know. Iruka did a double take. You almost channeled it? Naruto looked down in shame. I couldn't help it. Iruka-sensei, I've only been that mad once when I thought Haku had killed Sasuke. It's alright, Naruto. So, what about Sakura? Naruto looked up at Iruka's face. The teacher was wearing an understanding and comforting smile. It chased away the shadows of Naruto's shame. Well, I still like her. I mean, I'm ecstatic she's my friend and everything, but I know she loves Sasuke. We're teammates, and I know she's got my back, but I also know that's all she has for me. I don't want to give up, but yeah, I'm finally getting the point that there's nothing to give up on. It sounds like you're coming to a decision on your own, Iruka pointed out. Naruto nodded and started to speak, but Iruka cut him off with a smile. I know how hard it is to let go of a first crush. You do? Naruto asked. How'd you do it? Time, mostly. It wasn't easy, but I realized that it wouldn't have worked and moved on, Iruka explained. He didn't mention that his depression following the Kyuubi attack also led to the end of the crush. Iruka put on his best reassuring grin. I also didn't have someone like Hinata to speed up the process. Naruto nodded. She's liked me for a long time, hasn't she? Iruka was on the verge of answering when a knock on the door interrupted the conversation. Come on in, Iruka said politely. The last person Naruto expected to enter the room had been Hyuga Niji. He still had the harsh look that defined Naruto's interactions with the prodigy. Naruto was pleased to see that he wasn't as overtly angry anymore. In fact, he looked really tired. I apologize for interrupting, Niji said formally. You look like you're on a mission, Naruto countered and waved off Niji's concerns with a wave of the hand. He wasn't expecting any trouble. Naruto did, after all, outrank Niji now. Kami's of the earth and sky. I love saying that. Naruto thought with a huge grin. In a manner of speaking, I am, Uzumaki-san, Niji admitted. Hayashi-sama asked for me to extend an invitation for you to meet with him at your earliest convenience. Naruto looked over at Iruka and chuckled. Heh, I was actually thinking about asking to meet with him anyway. Niji-san, Iruka spoke up. As soon as he got Niji's attention, he continued. How did you find Naruto so quickly? I am Hyuga, Niji said plainly, and my Byakugan is one of the strongest in the clan. Iruka had the good sense to look embarrassed. Naruto smiled at Iruka being caught off guard and turned towards Niji. I guess I should go see Hayashi-sama now, Naruto admitted. Iruka shook his head in amusement. Did you just use the correct honorific? Naruto stuck his tongue out at the closest thing he had to a brother or a father. Niji bowed politely to Iruka and led Naruto out of the academy. The two young men walked in strained silence for several minutes. Do you know why Hinata-chan's old man wanted to see me? Naruto asked. I do not, Uzumaki-san. Niji kept walking, but his tone was oddly respectful. Oh, okay. Naruto fell silent. Hey, Niji, I heard you fought some Kumonin during the invasion. Niji paused. You are well informed. I fought them to protect Hinata-sama. I was nearly defeated, but Hayashi-sama saved my life. Naruto, I don't think you realize just how much you have done for the Hyuga. I'm glad I could help, Naruto admitted. If you need someone to help you train so you can whoop Kumo's ass next time you run into them, let me know. Thank you, Uzumaki-san, Niji replied formally. Naruto smiled and pretended he hadn't noticed Niji's emotional slip earlier. Niji guided Naruto into the Hyuga compound. Niji paused in front of the door to what was obviously a bedroom. Hayashi-sama is inside. I must warn you, Naruto, that he is not well. The Kumo cowards used a poison. The elders tried to keep Hayashi's condition a secret from the village. Their pride would not allow us to approach Tsunade-sama until it was too late. All Hokage-sama can do is ease his passing. I understand, Naruto said respectfully as Niji ushered him into the room. The room was well lit, and the smell of freshly brewing tea added a pleasant feel to the environment. Naruto had been expecting a gloomy environment with Hayashi barely able to get out of bed. Instead, the man was sitting at a desk reading over a series of scrolls. Naruto took a quick peek at the desk and couldn't believe the quality. There was gold woven into the wood. Naruto wanted to figure out where Hayashi got that desk. The Hokage's desk was boring compared to Hayashi's desk. Ah, Uzumaki-san, Hayashi greeted Naruto. The voice betrayed Hayashi's true condition. The vitality the Hyuga clan had displayed was a front. Niji had been right. Hayashi was in rough shape. The young man felt a wave of awkwardness hang over the entire room. Naruto felt the urge to leave Akage Bunshin to talk with Hayashi while he went to find Hinata. That might be rude, though, Naruto thought. Naruto decided to simply bow a bit to Hayashi. I am grateful you have decided to meet with me so promptly, Hayashi continued after Naruto met his eyes. Niji mentioned that this was urgent. Naruto half told the truth. Niji hadn't mentioned urgency, but had mentioned Hayashi's condition. Yes, I am afraid all my tasks are urgent now. Hayashi looked away for a moment before turning his attention back to Naruto. Before we begin, I would like to thank you on behalf of the entire Hyuga clan. You have opened our all-seeing eyes, and we have begun to heal the rifts that were one of the gravest threats to the continuation of our clan. Naruto rubbed the back of his head nervously. I'm just glad I could help out. Unfortunately, that was only one of the calamities facing my clan, Hayashi began to explain. He paused as his breathing became labored. After a sip of tea, the clan head continued. The clan elders are another problem. They do not approve of my daughters. They don't like Hinata-chan or her sister? Naruto asked loudly. Hayashi interlocked his fingers as he pondered Naruto's reaction. A ghost of a smile appeared on the dying man's lips. Unfortunately not. They believe Hinata is far too gentle and would not keep the cadets in line. Hanabi, my younger daughter by a year and a half, is a prodigy whom only Niji has surpassed. However, she is not politically minded, and has grown close to Hinata once again. The elders are determined to gain complete control of the clan. What would happen to Hinata-chan and Hanabi once you're gone? The Jinchuriki knew instinctively that he wouldn't like Hayashi's answer. He watched the tightly controlled emotions dance across Hayashi's face and decided that he liked Hayashi. The Hyuga head didn't like his answer either. Hinata would likely be sealed and married to the nephew of Elder Yoshinori or the son of Elder Yuto. Hanabi would be declared clan head until she was married to the man Hinata was not married to. After that, she would lose all authority in the clan and be relegated to simply producing heirs for her husband. Naruto paled at Hayashi's explanation. Naruto promised to get rid of the Hyuga seal when he became Hokage. The thought of Hinata being sealed was terrible. Naruto didn't know Hanabi, but her potential fate was just as cruel. Hayashi-sama, Naruto barely forced out the words as his mouth was unusually dry. What can I do to help them? It is a simple, yet difficult measure, Hayashi began. I would ask that you marry Hinata. Hayashi's words were a complete shock. Naruto hadn't been hit that hard by anything since the Forest of Death and the battles against Gaara and Kabuto. As Naruto considered Hayashi's words, time seemed to slow. Eventually, Naruto regained his senses and fixed his gaze on Hayashi. I do not expect you to give an answer yet, Uzumaki-san. I am well aware of the weight of my request. The Hyuga had leaned forward as he spoke. Naruto nodded and watched as Hayashi took a sip of his tea. I have a question. That is to be expected. I will answer any that you have, Hayashi assured Naruto. I guess this means you won't be mad if I ask Hinata-chan for a date? Hayashi did not smile or give off any outward emotional cues, but Naruto certainly felt the mood of the room change. That is a very prudent course of action. As her father, I would ask that you inform me of your plans for the evening. I haven't thought that far ahead quite yet, Naruto admitted. Well, you're the clan head and Hinata-chan is really important. I figured it would be best to get your permission before I made dinner reservations. That'd be a bit embarrassing to bail. You have surprised me yet again, Uzumaki Naruto. Hayashi nodded his head politely. That, Naruto thought, was a pretty impressive score for his chances with Hinata. You chose the correct course of action in this regard. Awesome. I mean, I'll need to know how to interact with the clans when I'm Hokage. I can't think of a better way to learn than interacting with Konoha's most famous and powerful clan. There was no shame in playing to Hayashi's ego, Naruto decided. Flattery and appealing to a clan's pride are valuable tools. Indeed, Hayashi responded with the faintest hint of mirth. I wish to be informed of your plans for courting my daughter when they are finalized. Of course, Hayashi-sama, Naruto agreed. I'll definitely keep you in the loop. That is all I require, Hayashi confirmed. I can tell you have additional questions. Wow, either I'm an open book or the Hyuga are just that good at reading people, Naruto thought. Yeah, I've got a few, Naruto admitted. If you don't mind answering. Hayashi was impressed by how quickly Naruto was adapting to his battlefield. The Hyuga clan head was seeing the potential in the boy. Konoha had nearly driven one of its greatest assets into darkness and madness. Maybe I can provide some comfort for this child as well as my own children. Why didn't your clan let Bachan help you sooner? Naruto asked. A combination of pride in our own abilities and Orochimaru's delaying tactics, Hayashi revealed. My clan is rightfully proud of our abilities. I was incapacitated for some time following the poison, and those in the Hyuga whose pride has become blinding hubris feared showing any weakness. Naruto couldn't follow everything Hayashi had said, but he knew enough about context to get a basic idea. Hayashi had been out cold for a time and a group of Hyuga with big egos didn't want to admit there was a problem. Great egos, Naruto grumbled. How did Orochimaru continue to mess things up? The battle delayed your retrieval mission for some time while Jiraiya-sama, Shizen-san, and yourself recovered from your wounds, Hayashi answered Naruto's follow-up question. He held up a hand to forestall Naruto's apology and doubt. I, and the Hyuga clan, hold no ill will for your battle. You triumphed against the Sannin and a traitor. The victory you helped achieve brought great honor to Konoha. Most importantly, you have given us a powerful and respected Hokage. Naruto smiled a bit at the acknowledgement. Thank you, Hayashi-sama. You are welcome, Uzumaki-san. Naruto smiled at the response. He had figured out that Hayashi placed a great deal of emphasis on clan prestige. It seemed like Hayashi was acknowledging the Uzumaki as worthy. That gave Naruto an idea. I've got 2 more questions, if you don't mind, Hayashi-sama, Naruto said as politely as he could manage. Ask, Hayashi responded. First, do you know anything about the Uzumaki? The only thing I really know is that the Shodai married an Uzumaki. There isn't much info on my family. I'd like to learn more to Bayo. The Hyuga have records of our interaction with the Uzumaki clan. We can provide these to you, Hayashi answered. Awesome! Naruto shouted. Thank you so much. I can't believe they are an actual clan. How long have the Uzumaki been around? They are amongst the oldest of the shinobi clans. They are as ancient as the Senju, Uchiha, and Hyuga clans. Hayashi watched as the young Chunin's face lit up. The Hyuga clan had realized he had given Naruto an anchor to a past he could be proud of. That is so cool, Naruto said with a trembling voice. I've just got one more. You don't have to keep asking for permission, Hayashi chided. Oh right, Naruto laughed. Is Hinata-chan at home? I'd like to talk to her now. My daughter should be in the head family dojo practicing the Hakusho Kaiten with her grandfather, Hayashi confirmed. Oh, and Uzumaki-san, I remind you to treat my eldest daughter with care and respect. It would be a shame if I were forced to introduce you to the Hakayaka Nijuhachi show. 128 strikes? Naruto thought in a panic. 64 had really hurt. Why yes sir. Thank you sir. Hayashi watched Naruto bow and bolt from the office. He allowed himself a small smile and thought, that was more fun than I thought it would be. Hinata gasped as she attempted the revolving heaven for the 7th time today. Her body, chakra pathways, and head all screamed in exhaustion. Though her body and mind protested, her spirit was ecstatic. Her father, overly critical grandfather, and the rest of the Hyuga were acknowledging her. More importantly, she was changing herself. Hinata had never come as close to mastering her clan's absolute defense. Her grandfather appraised her as if he was a circling eagle and Hinata was a helpless rabbit. That comparison would have been apt before the Chunin exams. before Naruto. I am no longer afraid. Hinata declared and maintained, and demanded eye contact with her grandfather. You have made surprising progress, the Hyuuga elder said neutrally. We will end the training for today. No, grandfather, Hinata declared. I will succeed on this next attempt. Her grandfather narrowed his eyes in displeasure at Hinata's defiance, and in a challenge of her newfound confidence. He relented and was no doubt expecting a similar failure as the previous attempts. Hinata closed her eyes, a calming exercise that was somewhat negated by her still active Byakugan, and centered herself. She analyzed her previous attempts. As she looked at the mechanics of the Hakusho Kaiten, Hinata was struck by how much Juken resembled dance. In that moment, she had an epiphany. She was not the lead in the dance. The Kaiten was in the lead. Any attempt to force the Kaiten to bend to her will was doomed. It was an instinctive defense. Pretend I am dancing, Hinata thought. An image of Naruto being her dance partner raced to the fore without hesitation. Hinata's exhausted state mercifully hid her blush. 1, 2, 3. Hinata heard Naruto's voice guide her. She expelled the chakra from her tenketsu and followed along with an invisible tune. She watched her grandfather take a step back, colored both by shock and the sphere of chakra engulfing her figure, and look at Hinata in stunned silence. I told you, I would succeed, Hinata breathed out as she deactivated her Byakugan. She could barely stand, and had not been this exhausted since the Chunin exams. Hinata had never felt more powerful than she did at this moment. Every droplet of sweat, and every labored breath was a monument to her triumph. We will resume tomorrow. I wish to see if you can replicate this success, the Hyuuga elder scoffed and exited the dojo. Hinata stumbled towards one of the racks and grabbed a towel to dry off some of the sweat. She was really looking forward to a bath. Of course I've got permission to be here. Naruto's voice echoed through the empty dojo. Hinata immediately tensed. Naruto here now? Hinata-sama. Hinata heard Natsu announce for the entrance. You have a suitor, Natsu-sen said. Suitor, Hinata thought at 1,000,000 miles per hour. There was no doubt in Hinata's mind that Naruto was truly outside the dojo. She heard his distinctive, and adorable, Databeo in the middle of his rather animated discussion with her grandfather. Naruto's suitor. I even went and got Hiashi-sama's permission. Do you really think that if I was sneaking in, I'd be following Natsu here and talking this loud? Very well, boy, the elder growled. I will confirm the validity of your claims, Naruto grunted as he entered the dojo. Jerk was trying to kill the mood. Hinata's back locked into place as she saw the sheer happiness on Naruto's face when he saw her. Hiashi-sama instructed me to allow you both a measure of privacy. Is there anything you require before I leave? Natsu asked. And no thank you, Natsu-san, Hinata answered, but never turned her gaze from Naruto. The maid took her leave and Naruto and Hinata were alone. Alone with permission. Today was shaping up to be a great one for Hinata. Naruto, for his part, was finally getting a closer look at Hinata. He had realized she was kinda cute during the first part of the Chunin exams. Her gesture after his match with Kiba had caused Naruto to upgrade her to really cute, and her determination against Neji had seen his opinion go up to pretty. He also reminded himself that she had looked good in that blue blouse. So, Hinata had definitely landed herself deep in Naruto's pretty category. Well, that was before Naruto had noticed that his opinion wasn't the only positive development Hinata was receiving. She's hot, I'd swear her body was as good as Ino's. What the heck is she doing wearing that jacket? Okay, declaring ramen the official food of Konoha can wait. My new first Hokage decree is banning baggy jackets. Hello, Hinata-chan, Naruto said with uncharacteristic hesitation. You, look like you've had a good day training. Good start, Naruto, the boy commended himself. Focus on the fact that you and Hinata want to get stronger, and not the fact that oh my god that outfit is really proving. Hinata's in great shape. Danger, Naruto. You're sounding like Ero Sennin. Hello, Naruto-kun, Hinata returned the greeting. I had a wonderful day. I mastered the 8 trigrams, revolving heaven today. Good start, Hinata, the girl commended herself. Focus on answering Naruto-kun's question and not the fact that Naruto's Chunin uniform makes him look more amazing than usual. That's awesome. You'll be even more of a kick-ass ninja now. Naruto commended his friend. Would you like to tell me about it on a date? Naruto's been calling me Hinata-chan. He just asked me out on a date. A date? If I had more chakra I'd try to see if this was a genjutsu. Naruto watched the happy shock dance across Hinata's face. She could scarcely believe this was actually happening. Today had officially become one of the best days of her young life. She was trying desperately not to faint or cry tears of joy. Hinata had no idea how Naruto would react to that. And nothing would make me happier, Hinata answered from the bottom of her heart. Naruto smiled in triumph and relief. Thank you so much, Hinata-chan. The feeling Naruto was experiencing was the best since the night Irika-sensei had declared Naruto his precious student. He had told Hinata that he liked people like her at the end of their conversation at the training grounds. Now Naruto knew he could drop the people like and simply say that he liked her. If Hinata can make me feel like this every day, maybe Hayashi's idea about marrying Hinata will be mostly my idea. Chapter 2. Hyuga Shuichi was a stern man. Some would say that he was overly harsh, but none could deny that he put the good of the clan above all else. Shuichi had once led the Hyuga as their unquestioned leader before he was removed from active shinobi duty as a result of injuries suffered in the Second Shinobi World War. His voice was still respected, but he no longer considered himself a worthy warrior. A Hyuga who could not defend the clan through peerless combat was not worthy of a position of leadership. Shuichi had stepped aside, for the good of the Hyuga, to his eldest son Hayashi at the earliest possible time. There were times Shuichi wondered if he had made a mistake. Hayashi was too soft. He had been willing to sacrifice himself for his younger twin. Did Hayashi not understand the full implications of such a foolish measure? Had madness overtaken his son and blinded him to the fact he was handing the secrets of the Byakugan to Kumo? Was Hayashi ignorant that his sacrifice would have thrown the succession of the Hyuga into turmoil? Shuichi was bound by the bylaws of the Hyuga from retaking his position. The clan would have torn itself apart. Shuichi was ashamed to admit that Hayashi had no better judgment when it came to his children. He coddled them. There were no excuses for the shortcomings of Hayashi's daughters. Hinata was finally showing the growth and skill expected of the Hyuga heir when she was 8. Hanabi was far more martially talented, but lacked her elder sister's organizational and economic skills. It was as if Shuichi's granddaughters were separate halves of the whole. If Hayashi's wife had not had the gall to die a year after Hanabi's birth, Hayashi may have a proper son and heir by now. Hayashi, I would speak with you. Shuichi entered Hayashi's office without waiting for his son's response. The current head of the Hyuga responded with a challenging glare. Shuichi may be Hayashi's father, but they were political foes. What do you require, elder? Shuichi bristled at his son's defiance. It was obvious where Hinata's defiance had originated. I am still your father. You would do well to remember that. I am still your clan head. You would also do well to remember that, Hayashi retorted harshly. This is not a family matter, but a Hyuga matter. Speak your piece. I do not approve of Uzumaki Naruto, the Hyuga elder said without ceremony. The boy is not worthy of the Hyuga. Not worthy? What do you know of Uzumaki Naruto? Hayashi barked at his father. The temperature of the room dropped several degrees. When the elder Hyuga spoke, his voice was as icy as the temperature. He is an orphan with no heritage. You were at his match against Niji. Uzumaki Naruto almost lost control of the Kyuubi. The boy lacks control of the Kyuubi, of his impulses, and of the events that surround him. And you permit him to court our heiress, your daughter? So, Hinata is recognized as my heir only when it can be used as a weapon against me, father? The dying man spat. I regret many things as my end approaches. I do not regret dying young if it prevents me from becoming so foolishly ignorant in my twilight years. Shuichi, I am disappointed that you are willfully ignorant about the accomplishments of the boy. Hinata's father smirked as he threw the word that tormented Hayashi and Hizashi in their youth back at their father. His distinct lack of any honorific was a deliberate and unmistakable insult. It pleased the son to see his father so obviously furious. Shuichi's emphatic pride of tradition forbade him from speaking out of turn. Hayashi wasn't finished yet, and the elder knew it. After being tricked by the traitor Mizuki, Naruto managed to evade almost the entire village for over 24 hours. Several of our clan members were involved in the search. That was the first evidence of his potential. During that 24-hour period, he outwitted the late Sandaime Hokage, mastered an A-rank Kenjutsu, and used it to defeat a Chunin. His other recent accomplishments include liberating a nation, surviving several encounters with Orochimaru, becoming Jiraiya-sama's apprentice, rescuing the children of several Koshaku, and defeating a fully realized Biju single-handedly. Hayashi paused one final time. And if you believe he lost control of the Kyuubi's chakra during his match with my nephew, you are either outright lying or completely absent of your wits and vision. I will not forget this insult, Shuichi seethed. Hayashi returned his father's glare. Neither will I. Naruto and Hinata had not spoken for a while after Hinata had agreed to go on a date with Naruto. The silence was very different from the awkward silence that had existed at the first part of Hinata's pep talk. The two young shinobi were smiling happily. Naruto could tell that Hinata was exhausted from her training and didn't want to put any strain on her. As he ogled, and he readily admitted he was checking her out, Naruto noticed an edge of nervousness or embarrassment in the way Hinata was carrying herself. She's probably worried about being all sweaty and stuff, Naruto realized. He decided that he needed to cheer up his new girlfriend/likely future wife quickly. You don't have anything to worry about, Hinata-chan, Naruto spoke with authority and care. What do you mean, Naruto-kun? Hinata was curious as to what led to Naruto's outburst. Had he noticed something? The blonde-haired Chunin continued to wear his happy grin. You're covered in sweat and exhausted, and you're still one of the prettiest girls in the entire land of fire. Thank you, Naruto-kun. Hinata had been successfully fighting through her exhaustion and her urge to swoon. She gave in to the urge the moment her now-boyfriend's name left her lips. So I wanted to talk with you about the date before I set anything up. I was definitely thinking of a place that needs reservations. If there's a place you want to go or something you'd like to eat, let me know. Hinata smiled at Naruto's considerate gesture. Naruto-kun, I'd be happy eating cup ramen on a park bench if it meant I got to spend time with you. Now, it was Naruto's turn to blush at a considerate statement. Thanks. That's one of the nicest things anyone has ever said. But seriously, name a place, I'll get us in. I would actually enjoy going to a restaurant. It'd be nice to be able to dress up without being so formal, Hinata admitted. Naruto really liked that idea. 1. He could easily afford the meal and be able to splurge on Hinata like she deserved. 2. Dress up sounded like code for something involving a skirt. That was certainly a happy image. That sounds great, Hinata-chan. Naruto flashed a thumbs up. What are you doing for the rest of the day? Hinata pressed her fingers together. I was going to get cleaned up a bit. There are some clan matters that I must attend to. My father's condition means that Hanabi-chan and I are taking on more responsibilities. My sister and her genin team are escorting raw materials and workers from the land of waves to Konoha. While Hanabi-chan is on a mission, all the responsibilities are mine. I wonder if I know any of the workers? I kinda hope Tazuna, Genji, and Yutaka are in that group. It'd be nice to see those guys again, Naruto mentioned offhandedly. Were those some of the workers you met on your mission to the land of waves? Hinata asked. The young Chunin nodded in confirmation. They are. Old man Tazuna was the client. Genji and Yutaka were 2 of his crew chiefs. Yutaka told some great jokes. I hope they are some of the workers that arrive, Hinata mentioned in support. I should get ready for my next assignment. Mind if I walk with you for a bit? Naruto asked hopefully. The exhausted Hyuga heiress felt her mood brighten considerably. There was almost naked hope in Naruto's voice. If he only knew how much I long for him, Hinata confessed to herself. I would love that, Naruto-kun. Hinata almost cried when Naruto extended his hand invitingly. Today was truly one of the greatest days of her life. She had mastered the revolving heaven and had taken her first steps in a relationship with Naruto. She reached out and took Naruto's hand without hesitation. In that moment, she swore to never hesitate again. Hyuga Niji enjoyed the serenity of meditation. It had once provided isolation and allowed Niji to explore his sense of self. When he meditated, Niji was not a Hyuga prodigy, a slave, or drowning in his own spiritual turmoil. He simply was. Now, Niji was using meditation to reconcile the fundamental changes in his worldview. There was still bitterness towards his uncle as the head of the clan. However, Hayashi's sincere efforts, stories of Niji's father, and desperate condition were overpowering the genius cadet's bitterness. The thought of not reconciling with Hayashi-sama before the end came was abhorrent. It amazes me that someone considered as unworthy and short-sighted as Uzumaki Naruto has shown us all the meaning of value and insight, Niji pondered. He rejected the role I believed fate had assigned him. Not only has Naruto rejected that role, he has proven the world wrong by achieving greatness. There was another detail of meditation that Niji had begun to explore. If he allowed his chakra to flow naturally, he could extend his awareness a few feet all around him. It wasn't perfect, but it was something he wanted to investigate further. His current abilities only allowed him to determine if an object near him had chakra. Currently, his sense was telling him that there was a source of chakra less than 3 feet away. Niji had not heard any youthful greetings, polite yet unfamiliar apologies, or gentle yet nervous hellos. It was possible to tell a great deal about a person from how they greeted another. The Hyuga cadet decided to do something unpredictable, something Naruto. He smiled. Hello Tenten. Let me guess, Niji, my lack of youth gave me away, Tenten joked. Niji opened his eyes and turned towards his teammate. And friend. Your chakra did as well. It is a familiar and welcome sensation. Tenten blushed while trying to comprehend what Niji had just said. Niji's words implied that he felt my chakra instead of detecting it with the Byakugan. I wasn't aware Niji was a sensonin. Combine those abilities with the Byakugan and Niji will become the ultimate tracker. He also said my chakra was familiar and welcome. That was the nicest thing he's ever said. The jerk. Thank you, Niji. How's Hayashi-sama? He is fighting. Hayashi-sama refuses to leave this world with work undone, Niji reported. Well, he is Hyuga. My experience leads me to believe the clan has a bit of stubborn nobility to it, Tenten mentioned. Niji came this close to laughing. I would like to think of it that way for some of us. There are some who I would dispute their nobility. Main branch? I know you weren't on the best terms with them before, Tenten hazarded a guess. The prodigy sighed. Other than Hayashi-sama, Hinata-sama, and a few others, I am still not on the best of terms with most of the main family. I would go so far to say that the people I respect the most are outside of the Hyuga clan. Tenten was a naturally curious young lady. She leaned in close to Niji and waited for him to continue. The genius was taken off guard, because the proximity was unexpected. He had been planning on using this conversation to get closer to his teammate, but not like this. Not yet at least, Niji admitted to himself. I greatly respect Uzumaki Naruto. He not only opened my eyes, but the eyes of the entire Hyuga clan. Naruto's actions have helped give Hinata-sama the will to succeed no one knew she possessed. I respect Lee for what he has accomplished in spite of his handicap. His recovery is something I have prayed for daily. Really? Tenten could barely believe what she was hearing. It was great that someone had finally gotten Niji to open up to the world. Yes. Niji was patient. He knew this change was hard for his skilled kunoichi teammate to grasp. There were many times that he had trouble believing the depths of his new perspective. I have always respected Lee, but have been far too proud to confess it. Guy-sensei is also a powerful shinobi. He has been far more patient with me than I deserve, and he isn't the only one. There was something in Niji's tone that barely allowed Tenten to squeak out a questioning "Oh, you have been incredibly patient with my what was the term brick wall of pride. In spite of that, you have helped me perfect the revolving heaven and grow as a shinobi. Tenten, you have my thanks." The weapons mistress was staring wide-eyed at Niji. This is almost like a confession. There's no way though. Niji's too well, Niji. Niji realized that he may have overloaded Tenten. Is everything alright, Tenten? I've just never seen this side of you, the kunoichi admitted. Neither have I, the prodigy admitted. My life has been turned upside down. I'd like some help exploring my new freedom from my previous fatalism. Would you like to assist me at lunch tomorrow? Tenten's eyes went wide. That might be as close as Niji would come to asking her for a date. It looked like her Chunin exam finals outfit wasn't a waste of money and effort after all. I'd love to. She paused and smirked. Maybe I'll even teach you how normal people talk. For the first time in her life, Tenten heard Niji laugh. The Hyuuga clan was one steeped in tradition and respect for tradition. One's birth order, role, and perception of said role defined a person's entire identity. This was especially true of the cadet branch. Perception was a fundamental cornerstone of an individual's worth. Hyuuga Korea knew this better than most. She was average in a clan where average was tantamount to apostasy against one's blood. Korea had become a full genin, but only after passing through the academy's remedial program. Worse, in the eyes of the clan's proctors at least, she had even been defeated by Hinata-sama in several spars. She, unlike many in the Hyuuga clan, had never resented Hinata-sama. Hinata-sama had always been gracious in victory and always offered the cadet a kind word when their paths crossed. In fact, Korea would almost consider Hinata-sama a friend. Due to her heterodox actions in openly supporting Hinata-sama, the clan had graciously acknowledged her exceptional academy grades and successfully petitioned for her removal from the mainline shinobi program so that she could devote herself to becoming one of the clan's archivists. It pained her to be separated from Takuno-sensei and her teammates. She hadn't felt average on that team. She hadn't felt belittled. She was simply accepted. At least I am reporting to Hinata-sama, Korea thought as she shifted one of the folders she was carrying to another arm. Hinata-sama, I humbly request permission to enter, the cadet family kunoichi announced formally. Enter, Hinata answered Korea's formal request in a formal tone. The cadet bowed as she entered Hinata's room. How are you, Korea-san? I am fine, Hinata-sama, Korea answered politely. Our esteemed elders have requested that I deliver the reports on the clan's finances to you as soon as possible. They also suggested that I assist you so that you could confirm the reports with all diligence. Hinata frowned. She could hear the bitterness in the other girl's tone. Korea was another victim of the clan's treatment of the cadet families. Her situation was nowhere near as tragic or galling as the crimes Niji Nizan had been inflicted with, but Korea had suffered at the misguided hands of the elders as well. Hinata was well aware that Korea's career as an active kunoichi had been cut short after her opinions on the elders' power plays had become public. Even though archivist was an honorable position within the Hyuuga clan, it was clearly the equivalent of permanent house arrest. They are incredibly petty, aren't they? Hinata asked. Korea's great-tinted Byakugan went wide at Hinata's statement. For all the other girl's kindness, demure nature, and own tribulations, she was still a member of the main family. Korea couldn't believe Hinata would say anything remotely negative about the elders. Korea-chan, the elders have hurt the entire clan. Father and I wish to start healing the rifts. Oh, of course, Hinata-sama, Korea stammered. The change in honorific had not been missed by the cadet member. Korea was seeing Hinata-sama in a new light. Unintentionally, the young woman found herself trying to find similarities between the two. Korea noticed she was an inch or two taller than the heiress. Hinata-sama's face was round as opposed to Korea's angular features. The shape of the heiress's face and the softer lavender shade to her Byakugan gave Hinata a gentle appearance. Korea had no illusions that her current bitterness leaked through into her own features. Korea was glad she had not been forced to cut her hair short like Hinata-sama. It wasn't that the short Heim cut wasn't cute on Hinata. The haircut had been a throwback to an ancient practice where short hair in the Hyuuga represented disownment. Korea had consciously let her brown hair grow very long. She currently had her hair styled in a braided ponytail. She managed to keep the frown from her face as she realized the only similarities between herself and Hinata-sama was their Byakugan and the traditional Hyuuga robes they were wearing. Korea-chan, Hinata whispered quietly, almost conspiratorially in fact, to the other girl. I need your help. I would be honored, Hinata-sama, Korea replied automatically. Father has given a young man permission to court me, Hinata announced. Hayashi-sama gave someone permission to court you. Korea restated the heiress's announcement. Who could have captured Hayashi-sama's respect and attention that strongly? He has rejected every other offer to court you so far. It's Naruto-kun, Hinata breathed out. Father is actually letting me go on a date with Naruto-kun. Korea thought she was familiar with the name. Hinata-sama was certainly excited about the name. She racked her brain to remember who this Naruto-kun was and what connection he had to the Hyuuga clan. This Naruto-kun, is he the one who defeated Niji-san in the Chunin exams? It is, Hinata confirmed. Naruto-kun has inspired me for so long. I'm glad this has made you so happy, Hinata-sama. Korea chewed her lips. An excited rumor that had circulating slipped into the forefront of Korea's recollection. Hinata-sama, there has been talk amongst the cadet families about something Naruto-san said during his match against Neji-san. Is it true that he wishes to become Hokage to change the Hyuuga clan? There has been talk that he hates the Juninjutsu. Naruto-kun doesn't wish to be Hokage. Naruto-kun will be Hokage, and we will work together to change the Hyuuga clan, Hinata declared in a crisp and unwavering voice. Korea found it impossible not to be swept up by Hinata's conviction. What do you need my help with? I don't have any clue what to wear, Hinata confessed. Korea smiled as the Hinata-sama she was used to return. Her moment of conviction had earned her a great deal of respect, but it was nice to see that her friend was such a complete person. Let's finish the work quickly. I think I may have something for you, Korea said excitedly. The friendship and casual conversation was as close to liberated as she had ever felt. She was still a bird in a cage, but at least the bars seemed a little further apart. Naruto had departed the Hyuuga compound with a triumphant grin adorning his face. His endless enthusiasm had been further bolstered by the utterly enraged look Hinata's asshole of a grandfather had attempted to pin on Naruto as the Jinchuriki sauntered out the door. The flippant wave Naruto had shot the older man hadn't helped the old fossil's mood much. Still, Naruto would treasure the look on Hinata's grandfather's face for a very long time. It had been a very long time since Naruto had helped play someone so beautifully. Yes, the young Uzumaki thought, I am really starting to like Hayashi. He strolled through the streets of Konoha and took in the sights of the reconstruction. Naruto was really curious to find out if old man Tazuna was in the village. There was also the need to figure out where the heck he was going to take Hinata-chan on their date. I need advice from someone who isn't perverted. I also need to find out who came from the land of waves, Naruto mused out loud. Ba-chan it is. Naruto was partially thankful that most of the fan worship he received was in the form of appreciative looks and nods. The radical change in Konoha's opinion wasn't growing old by any stretch. Naruto simply had a great deal to accomplish in a short time. His fellow Chunin waved him through the checkpoints after a cursory check. Shizen was finishing up a conversation with a higher-ranked shinobi Naruto didn't recognize. The man bowed to Tsunade's assistant and departed. The medic whirled in place and settled her gaze on Naruto. Hello, Naruto-kun. Hey, Shizen-ne. What's up? Naruto asked with a lopsided smile. Oh, just dealing with the aftermath of Orochimaru's assault. The recovery is progressing as well as can be expected, Shizen explained. Kumo is the only village who tried to start shit? Naruto asked. The Hokage's assistant could not miss the venom in the young Chunin's question. How did you find out about that? That's a B-rank secret. Shizen crossed her arms and her gaze went from friendly to questioning. Naruto scratched the back of his head. Hayashi-sama and Neji told me about how they tried to kidnap Hinata-chan. Good, I didn't want to have to deal with an information leak right now, Shizen said in relief. So, what brings you here, Naruto-kun? I was wondering if Ba-chan was around and able to talk. Ever since I became a Chunin, I'm kind of a free agent, and I need some advice from the two of you about. Naruto trailed off and blushed. About what, Naruto-kun? Shizen said teasingly. Naruto blushed and clammed up when he noticed a group of jonin chatting at the end of the hall. Shizen realized it was something a bit personal and led Naruto into the Hokage's office. The beautiful, well-respected, powerful, and legendary Kunoichi was not sitting regally behind her desk. She was not even aware of the two shinobi that had entered her office. Tsunade was currently bitching out her semi-wayward teammate. Jiraiya, why are you completely incapable of entering my damn office through the door like a normal person? Oh wait, silly me, I'd forgotten, you are the most abnormal perverted son of a bitch I have ever met. I've missed you too, Tsunadeheim, Jiraiya responded flippantly. How are you doing, brat? Damn it. I was hoping to avoid you until after I got advice from Ba-chan and Shizen-ne. Naruto cursed at his legitimate bad fortune. Tsunade's attention quickly turned away from Jiraiya. Naruto needed her advice. His stance informed the slug Sannin that it wasn't shinobi-related. If it was, he would have asked the old pervert. This was going to be fun. So, what advice do you need from your Hokage? Tsunade asked and leaned forward. Naruto chuckled nervously. Jiraiya complained that Naruto was getting the view, but was promptly ignored by everyone else in the room. Naruto started before casting a glance at Jiraiya. With a look that clearly translated to fuck it, Naruto turned his attention back to the Godame Hokage. I have a date with Hinata-chan, and I need some help deciding where to take her. She said she wants a place she can dress up a bit without it being formal. Tsunade looked deep in thought. Shizen, however, snapped her fingers and smiled happily. Natsumayashi is a great place. The food is from the land of wind, but the owner is a Konoha shinobi. Soon-related goods and services aren't very popular now, so you'll have plenty of space alone. Rokuro is great with music. Shizen's telling the truth. You'll have plenty of space to dance, Jiraiya agreed. I know you don't know how to dance, but this is actually a good thing. Have your girlfriend teach you to dance. Combine giving her your undivided attention, the brownie points you earned with the blood vow, and the near-private dining. The legendary super pervert fished something out of a pouch at his belt and tossed it to Naruto. You'll need those. After you wake up after your date and shake off the morning glow, I want you to meet me at Training Ground 41. I'm going to step up your training. That run-in with Akatsuki made me realize you need to start figuring out your chakra nature and boost your understanding of genjutsu. Jiraiya suddenly felt an oppressive weight on his very soul. He looked up from his training plans and saw Shizen staring slack-jawed at the packet the old man had tossed Naruto. The young man, for his part, was staring at the packet as if he were caught in a particularly devious genjutsu. Jiraiya. What? Did you give Naruto? Tsunade ground out. I want him to be safe. He's a teenager, or did you forget? Jiraiya countered. He's too young. Tsunade barked. You insufferable pervert. How could you give him condoms? Naruto was blushing furiously. I know that married couples do that, but I'm not married to Hinata-chan yet. Oh god, I hope I'm not thinking about that the entire date. I don't want Hayashi-sama to regain enough strength to beat me like a drum. Or for his ghost to haunt me forever. In the infinite wisdom of a teenage solider, Naruto decided this was the best possible time to retreat. Tsunade was rising from her chair with a murderous not quite killing intent aura surrounding her. The Chunin turned to Shizen and cleared his throat. Well, I think this a great time to run like hell. Thank you for the help and tell Bachan thanks as well. Of course, Shizen quailed a bit as Tsunade grabbed the back of Jiraiya's head and slammed his head into the desk a few times. I hope you have a wonderful date, Naruto, Tsunade said in a sickly sweet voice. She proceeded to slam Jiraiya's face into the wall, as she did not want to destroy her desk. Sure, Naruto said weakly. He quickly turned to Shizen and chuckled a bit. Hey, there's a team of workers from the Land of Waves being escorted by Hyuga Hanabi's genin team. There wouldn't happen to be an old man named Tazuna with them, would there? You know Tazuna-san? Shizen asked. Naruto nodded and was forced to raise his voice over Tsuanda's raging rant about Jiraiya's habits. He was the client on my first C-rank turn to rank. So that's why he's under probationary escort. Team 16 is watching his construction project on the south wall guardhouses. Thanks. Naruto said quickly and bailed on the Hokage's tower. The Jinchuriki hoped that by the time he took over for Bachan that the blood would have come out of the wall. Inari was getting really tired of his grandfather and the other workers. It wasn't his fault that every kunoichi he had ever met had been pretty. The girl on the team keeping tabs on Granddad was probably the prettiest girl Inari had ever seen. She was a bit older than Inari, but that only made her more attractive to the young man. From what I've heard, she's practically a princess here in the village, Inari thought. The Hyuga girl was wearing a black shinobi bodysuit over mesh armor and a waist-length yellow jacket. Her hair was so healthy that it shined, and it was very long too. Inari. If you're done checking out the scenery, we need you to bring us those levels. One of Tazuna's foremen shouted. Inari flushed in embarrassment and rushed the requested tools to the workers. The young worker from the Land of Waves was glad that Tazuna had decided he had teased Inari enough. Instead of a gentle joke, it was simply an understanding smile. Inari returned it, but the smile quickly blossomed further when a familiar voice rang out. Hey old man. How bad do your shoulders hurt? The workers, Tazuna, and Inari all cheered at the arrival of the hero of Wave. Inari couldn't believe that Naruto and I was actually looking like a serious shinobi. Naruto flashed a thumbs up at Inari. The young boy returned the acknowledgement of his idol a dozenfold. You certainly have to make an entrance, brat. Tazuna laughed as he walked over to the shinobi. He clasped Naruto on the shoulder. I do wonder, what the hell you mean asking about my shoulders though? Well, you said the day I become Hokage is the day you sprout wings and fly. I've been promoted to Chunin. I'm one step closer, so I bet those wings are growing already. Uzumaki Naruto, you cheeky bastard. Congratulations. It is super good to see you, boy. Tazuna said with warmth and joy. Good to see you too, old man Tazuna. How's Tsunami? Naruto asked with a smile that matched the engineer's tone. The work had stopped completely. Team 16 had even been drawn into Naruto's arrival. Mom's doing good. She wonders if we could hire you for something just so your team could visit, Inari joked. I'll be sure to let Kakashi-sensei, Sakura-chan, and Sasuke know, Naruto declared. He went around to each of the workers from Wave and talked to them as the old friends Naruto considered them to be. Eventually, Naruto slipped away from the workers and made his way over to Hanabi. You must be Hanabi. It's nice to meet you, Naruto-kun. Hinata-nisama talks about you all the time. I feel like we've already met, Hanabi said with a smile. Naruto rubbed the back of his head. Hinata-chan's awesome, isn't she? Hanabi nodded, but raised a delicate eyebrow at Naruto's choice of honorific. My sister is an inspiration. Oh yeah, I wouldn't have been able to beat Niji without her. I'm glad Hayashi-sama gave me permission to take her on a date. That's wonderful. Hanabi squealed. Onisama is going to be so happy. May I ask where you'll be taking Onisama? Who also happens to be my best friend. I've sent a Kage Bunshin to get reservations at Natsumayashi. Since Suna-related things aren't very popular right now, I'm sure we'll practically have the place to ourselves. Naruto's voice was easy, but there was a hint of approval and admiration for Hanabi's protective tone of voice. Woohoo! Hanabi practically cooed. That is really romantic. I won't have to juken you now, I'd appreciate it. The way your dad and Hinata talk about you, you're very talented at juken. I'm sure it would hurt like hell. Naruto had stretched the truth about Hinata mentioning Hanabi's talents to him directly. He had an instinctive feeling Hinata would undoubtedly compliment her sister's skills. Hanabi blushed a bit. It was nice to hear a compliment from someone she admired. Naruto's influence on the younger Hyuuga prospective heiress was not as great as his influence on Hinata. Still, Naruto's positive impact on her Onisama and word of his skills as shinobi had earned a measure of respect from the Hyuuga kunoichi. After she had seen the level of his skills and experienced his charisma herself, Hanabi was a bit ashamed to admit she had developed a bit of a crush on her sister's boyfriend. How are you holding up? Naruto asked out of the blue. I know it can't be easy right now. Hanabi blushed again, this time at the concern in Naruto's voice. No wonder Onisama is so taken with Naruto-kun. I think I'm doing okay. Onisama and Natsu-san are doing their best to help me. I know I couldn't handle it without them. Hayashi-sama is a good man, Naruto said gently. He didn't think Hayashi was perfect by any stretch of the imagination. He had heard what Hinata's situation before the Chunin exams had been like. I'll be there to support Hinata-chan, and you, until forever I guess. Does Naruto-kun have any idea what he is doing? Or is he just that sweet by accident? Hanabi thought. Thank you, Hanabi squeaked out. Naruto grinned and said his goodbyes. Hanabi watched as Naruto said hello and thanked the other members of her team. She shook off her funk and refocused on the mission. You're lucky, Onisama. Naruto eventually found his way back to Inari. The young worker was staring at Naruto in awe and the slightest hint of jealousy. How the heck did you do that? Do what? Naruto asked cluelessly. You talked to her. Like it was nothing. Inari didn't yell, but he came close. I mean, she's really pretty. Naruto flicked his gaze to Hanabi and back to Inari. Pretty runs in that family. And why wouldn't I talk to her? She's my girlfriend's sister. Inari's jaw dropped. You're dating her sister? Naruto grinned proudly. Yup. Hinata-chan's Naruto checked out Hanabi again. He was happy to see she did not have her Byakugan active. Even cuter. See, can you teach me how to talk to girls? Inari asked hopefully. Just talk to them, Naruto said simply. Inari gave him an odd look. Who are you? Nobody, Inari answered and looked down. Never say that again. Naruto glared at the young man. You're Inari, the kid who rallied the land of waves to stand up to Gato. You did that, Inari countered weakly. Naruto and I's glare was scary. Inari thought. I didn't go house to house. I was fighting Haku. You convinced everyone to come to the bridge to help us out. Talking with girls is kinda like that. But taking down Gato was important, Inari countered. And getting a girlfriend isn't? Naruto countered the counter. Inari opened his mouth to counter Naruto's counter of his own counter. He realized that there wasn't one and that Naruto had brought up a good point. Thanks, you're welcome. I'm going to go talk to the crew a bit. See ya, Inari, Naruto said with a wave. Inari returned it. Naruto smiled broadly and called out, Yutaka, got any more of those bad jokes? None worse than your old orange jumpsuit. Yutaka replied with a hearty laugh. Inari laughed at the exchange. It was great to have heroes again. Jiraiya was grateful that after Tsunade had relayed her concerns about the last bit of Jiraiya's advice, the Hokage had Shizen heal his face. Tsunade's strength, even without the chakra enhancement, was still very much above average. He was used to the Senju princess's outbursts. The worst bit of the whole ordeal had been the embarrassed look on Naruto's face. The Toad Sage definitely hadn't meant to embarrass his godson. Jiraiya had simply wanted to make sure that if that went down, Naruto would be protected. I'm sure the obnoxious brat would be as good a dad as Minato would have been, but he's too young for that. The fact that Akatsuki is out there, and after him makes a kid too much of a risk. Those S-rank fucks would target Naruto through his child, Jiraiya thought. Jiraiya shook off those thoughts as he caught sight of his target. Naruto was eyeing a clothing store. The Sannin smiled at the image. Naruto obviously had no idea what he was looking at, but he at least knew what he was looking for. Anything catching your eye, brat? Jiraiya asked with a smile. Naruto turned to face his sensei. He saw that Jiraiya looked like he did that day at the festival in Tazuna quarters. Naruto decided that Jiraiya would be taking things more or less seriously and wouldn't be too perverted during the conversation. I don't know, Naruto admitted. I want something nice, you know? A wave of nostalgia washed over Jiraiya at how much Naruto resembled his mom in that moment. I know. Let's head in and get you something that isn't a flak jacket or those jumpsuits. I'm paying. Thanks, Erosenin. Jiraiya rolled his eyes at the nickname, but was actually relieved that Naruto wasn't angry. Don't mention it, brat. The venerable shinobi replied. He walked Naruto through the process of shopping. During the quest, he revealed that it was only natural for Naruto to currently be bored to tears. Jiraiya explained in his usual tone but without his more colorful poetic terms, that if things got serious with Hinata, Naruto may be dragged on shopping trips in the future. Naruto blanched, but mumbled something about how Hayashi didn't mention that eventually. Jiraiya helped Naruto select a few outfits. There were several sets of khaki slacks. They go with everything, Jiraiya had proudly declared. The rest of Naruto's new outfits were a few button-down collared shirts of various colors, leather belts, a pair of dress shoes, and 2 blazers. This kinda reminds me of Gato, Naruto said glumly. The statement clothes make the man is bullshit. Character, guts, and having a good head on your shoulders make the man. You've got all 3. Naruto, you're more of a man at 13 than Gato ever was in his 58 years. You talking Zabuza into his suicide run did the world a favor by getting rid of that slimy old man. Jiraiya's declaration wasn't as harsh as it sounded. Naruto heard the declaration and smiled. Thanks, Erosenin. The Toad Sage laughed uproariously. I can't believe you've thanked me twice. You've almost made me forget you're the most ungrateful apprentice I've ever had. You're the most perverted teacher I've ever had. Have you forgotten why Bachan used your face as a hammer? Naruto responded with a glare and a challenge. I need to talk to you about that, Naruto. Let's grab a seat, Jiraiya said, motioning to a nearby bench. Naruto followed his teacher to the bench. After they were both seated, Jiraiya sighed. I should have approached that better. I know that. There was no way in hell I did that to embarrass you. The young Chunin nodded. I kinda figured, Erosenin. You're probably wondering what the hell I was trying to do, Jiraiya pointed out, receiving a nod from Naruto. I wanted you to be prepared. This girl, Hinata, you're going on a date with, she's the one you made the blood vow for? Jiraiya watched Naruto's reaction carefully. Yeah, and I'd do it again, Naruto informed his teacher with pride. Good to hear. The strength of your will of fire will take you far, brat. Now, don't jump all over me for the next question. It'll sound perverted, but this is a lesson on the shinobi vices. I fell into their trap, and I don't want you making my mistakes. Naruto nodded and Jiraiya continued. What do you feel and think when you look at Hinata? Naruto was quiet for a few moments. Warm around my heart. She's probably the only person my age that's ever really supported me. Definitely the only girl. I also feel angry a bit. I mean, she's probably the nicest pretty girl I've ever met, and her family, until really recently, has treated her like crap. Kumo has tried to kidnap her twice, and she's barely been acknowledged for all her hard work. It isn't fair, and Hinata-chan deserves so much more. Okay, so I might have jumped the starting bell a bit with the condoms. You're dating her for more than her looks. That's a good place to start the relationship. I did have a reason for giving them. As a chunin, you're a legal adult. If you wanted to, you could. You're a teenager, and hormones are going to happen. I wanted you to be prepared and safe if that happened. Jiraiya's explanation made sense, even as it made Naruto blush as he considered it. Naruto recalled the way Hinata's clothing had clasped tightly to her alluring figure and shifted his position on the bench. He also realized that, in his own super pervert way, Jiraiya was looking out for Naruto. I understand, I guess. Like I said, Naruto, I wasn't trying to embarrass you. I want you to be safe, but still be able to enjoy yourself if you choose to go all the way with Hinata. Your head and heart are in the right place. Naruto nodded. He couldn't really think of anything to say. The conversation, while heartfelt, was still a bit awkward. Jiraiya huffed a laugh. I have something to make up for this weird talk. I'm going to try to teach you something, right now. Right now? Naruto asked. Right now, Jiraiya confirmed. You might already know this, given how much of the landscape you wrecked trying to learn the Rasengan, but Kage Bunshin transfer the memories of their experiences to their creator. With your ability to create hundreds, you can do months of training in hours. That'd be helpful right now. I could just dispel and the boss would learn all of this info. But how would I get the clothes we bought home? Jiraiya didn't know whether to laugh, be in awe, or be angry that he had spent the past few minutes having a heart-to-heart with one of Naruto's Kage Bunshin. In the end, he just settled on being impressed by Naruto's skill with the jutsu. I'll take the clothes back to the apartment. Just focus on transferring the memories back to the brat. I don't think I could have this conversation twice. The clone joined in Jiraiya's laughter. He stopped eventually. How do you know where I live? Brat, I own where you live. Why do you think you've never had to pay rent and the landlord keeps the place in order, despite occasionally grumbling about it? I guess the boss can let the condom thing slide, the clone teased. He handed over the clothes to his teacher. Just concentrate and let him know that I'm proud of him. The real Naruto had left Hanabi, Inari, and Tazuna a few minutes ago. He had spent a bit more time than he thought talking with Inari, Tazuna, the crew, and Hanabi. It had been really good to see Tazuna, Yutaka, and Inari again. The biggest relief had been how well Naruto had gotten along with Hanabi. He was going to be dating her sister, so getting along with family was important. As the Hyuuga compound came into view, Naruto felt a wave of very defined emotions fill the back of his brain. They were positive, a mix of gratitude, acceptance, and understanding. The young man's mind had just processed the emotions, when the memories rushed forth. First, Naruto was really impressed by the fact that his Kage Bunshin transferred memories. That is so cool. Second, Naruto was a bit embarrassed by part of the content in his clone's conversation with Erosenin. He was still glad that the old pervert was showing how much he cared for Naruto, even if it was as odd as the Sannin was himself. He was thrilled his Kage Bunshin had set up the reservations for Natsumaeshi. The clothes Jiraiya had paid for would be something nice for Hinata during the date. Naruto definitely didn't want to show up wearing one of his old jumpsuits, or his flak jacket. He was somewhat confident Hinata-chan wouldn't mind, but she deserved better. I can't believe Ero-sennin has been paying my rent for so long. Naruto shook his head. Further ruminations on how else Ero-sennin may have been watching out for him from a distance faded away as Naruto reached the Hyuga compound. A Hyuga Chunin approached Naruto and held out his hands for Naruto to come to a halt. Excuse me, young man? What are your reasons for visiting the Hyuga compound so late in the afternoon? Naruto was going to have fun seeing the Chunin's reaction to this. Hayashi-sama requested that I inform him of the plans for my date with Hinata-chan as soon as they were made. I thought it was a good idea to let him know immediately. The Chunin was dumbfounded at the casual nature in which Naruto dropped Hayashi's name, and the familiarity he expressed towards Hinata-sama. I will escort you to Hayashi-sama. Thanks, I haven't memorized the layout of this place yet. Naruto motioned for the Chunin to lead on. Naruto considered the look on the Chunin's face priceless. The speed at which he guided Naruto to Hayashi's location was even better. The head of the Hyuga clan was sitting in a small tea room and appeared to be meditating. Hayashi-sama, excuse the intrusion on your personal time, but this young man claims that you requested he inform you of his plans to date Hinata-sama. Hayashi opened his eyes and nodded at Naruto. It was not a request. Naruto-san was required to keep me abreast of his dinner plans as a condition of dating my daughter. I will speak with Naruto in private, Ko-san. You are dismissed. I was unaware you had granted anyone permission to court Hinata-sama, Ko stammered. Hinata's personal concerns and shinobi training have not been your responsibility for several years. You are dismissed, Hayashi repeated. Ko bowed and departed. Forgive Ko, Naruto. He has always been excessively protective of my daughter, Hayashi explained. Naruto gave a look that displayed his confusion and unease at the idea. Enough about that. Where will you be taking Hinata to dinner? Natsumayashi, Hayashi-sama. The current bias against any place connected with Suna or the Land of Wind means we'll pretty much have the place to ourselves. The owner is a loyal shinobi of Konoha, and Shizune and Ero-sennin say there is really good music, so Hinata-chan can teach me to dance. I assume Shizune is the Hokage's assistant. Who, may I ask, is Ero-sennin? Hayashi asked. The amused twitch of his mouth was lost on the suddenly very nervous Naruto. The young man was regretting letting that nickname slip. Jiraiya of the Sannin. I swear that I'm not a pervert like he is. Naruto vigorously defended himself. The Hyuga clan head smiled in an attempt to calm the young man down and to indulge in his own amusement. I am aware. I watched your interaction with my eldest earlier today. You were properly respectful. She was very appreciative of your compliment. Naruto suddenly felt his mouth go dry. He was hoping most of his time with Hinata like that would be private. Hayashi-sama, you aren't going to keep tabs on all my time with Hinata-chan, are you? In the future, I will allow a measure of privacy when you are with Hinata. As her father, I am honor-bound to ensure she is treated with respect and kindness. Uzumaki Naruto, I am pleased to say you treated my daughter as she deserved. It gives me comfort that you possess such obvious respect and affection for Hinata, Hayashi assured Naruto. The young man smiled warmly at Hayashi. Heh, I've never been all that great at tests, but I'm glad I passed that one. Hayashi grinned at Naruto's joke. What time are the reservations? 6 o'clock Wednesday evening, sir, Naruto revealed. He was honestly caught off guard by how much proper respect he was showing Hayashi. Then again, he was trying to get on the man's good side and stay there. Excellent. If you want to see Hinata, she is currently in her room. I will call for someone to escort you, Hayashi said. He pulled a cord on the wall beside him. A moment later, an older Hyuga woman Naruto didn't recognize arrived. The Jinchuriki noticed her forehead was covered, signifying her place in the cadet branch. What do you require, Hayashi-sama? Tashiko-san, Uzumaki-san requires an escort to Hinata's room, Hayashi explained. Once you show Uzumaki-san to my daughter's room, you may return to your previous duties. Of course, Hayashi-sama, Tashiko said, but it was clear she was not exactly thrilled with leaving a young man with the Hyuga's beautiful heiress. Regardless, Tashiko escorted Naruto to Hinata's chambers. She was surprised at how friendly the young Chunin was. Everyone in the Hyuga had heard of Naruto's skill and his victory over Niji. It was nice to learn that he held Hinata-sama in such esteem and that there was no lingering animosity against Niji. The elderly woman paused in front of Hinata's room. My lady, it is Tashiko. Hinata-sama, I have escorted one Uzumaki Naruto to see you at the request of your esteemed father, Hayashi-sama. There was an undeniable, startled yelp from the other side of the door. The yelp was followed by a door being hastily slammed. Send him in, Tashiko. Hey, Hinata-chan! Naruto said excitedly. Hinata and Tashiko swore they saw a bit of a blush coloring Naruto's cheeks. The older Hyuga woman thought it was innocent enthusiasm, and her concerns were eased. Hinata thought it was adorable and validation that the relationship with Naruto was really happening. Neither had any idea Naruto was fighting off Jiraiya's influence, and trying not to recall Hinata's training outfit clinging to her body too vividly. Good afternoon, Naruto-kun, I wasn't expecting you back today. Hinata cast a quick glance to the closet. The young man was curious, but figured Hinata wanted to keep what she would be wearing on the date a surprise. If there is anything you need? Tashiko asked. Hinata shook her head negatively. The matron bowed and departed. I wanted to see you again. Naruto jumped in right where their conversation had left off. I also found a place I think we'll have a blast at. Reservations are made and everything. Hinata's eyes went so wide, Naruto thought she had activated her Byakugan for a moment. There was a moment of concern on the young man's part, as he watched Hinata get redder and redder in front of his eyes. The look of utter joy in her eyes put his concerns to rest. Naruto-kun, Hinata whispered. Where did you make reservations? Natsumayashi, Naruto answered. With everything that is going on, we'll practically have the place to ourselves. The owner is a reserve shinobi, so your dad is cool with it. Shizune and Jiraiya said that they always have music. So, I was wondering maybe you could teach me to dance? Hinata's brain overloaded for a moment as she processed what Naruto had said, dancing. She thought of the outfit Korea-chan had helped her select. She also thought of how the dancing Naruto was thinking of required close, physical contact. I can't believe it. This is a dream come true. I'd love to. Hinata exclaimed. Naruto had not heard Hinata use that much enthusiasm since the pep talk. For Hinata's part, Naruto's innate ability to bring out her latent self-confidence was intoxicating. Naruto was smiling, trembling, and trying to get a grip on the rolling tide of heady emotions flooding his system. He wasn't sure what road they would lead him down if he acted on them. There was also the fact Naruto wasn't sure Hayashi had actually been telling the truth. Naruto would double down that Hayashi was occasionally checking in on the couple. That's awesome, Naruto declared. The conversation soon turned to the preparation for the date. Naruto revealed that Erosenin had helped him pick out some new clothes for the date. Hinata had been pleased to hear that news. She always liked the way Naruto looked, but the opportunity to see Naruto wearing something fashionable was very exciting. So, what are you wearing? Naruto asked innocently. A sudden playful edge found its way into Hinata's mind. It's a surprise, Naruto-kun. No hints? Naruto countered Hinata's sudden playfulness with his own. Hinata feigned thinking about Naruto's offer. I'm afraid you'll just have to wait and see. Naruto's toying response was cut off by a peal of thunder. The pitter-patter of rain on the roof made Naruto frown. Of course, I didn't bring an umbrella. Why, you could stay until the rain stops, the Byakugan princess suggested hopefully. Sure, Naruto answered with a nod, much to Hinata's open glee. Naruto took a moment to catch a glimpse of Hinata's room. He wasn't sure exactly what he had been expecting, but this certainly fit his expectations. The room had a gentle lavender color, was very well organized, and girly. Naruto smiled at the room. It was almost impossible to imagine how the room could better fit his girlfriend. I like your room. Everything just feels Hinata to bail. He's so adorable, Hinata whispered. Her unintended verbal pronouncement reached Naruto's ears. The boy suddenly found himself very warm and sporting a blush that rivaled the one his girlfriend had worn early. You're really cute too, Naruto confessed. The two teens stood silently as they tried to process their newly confessed mutual physical attraction. Fortunately, they were saved by a knock on the door. Hinata-sama, it is Niji. Are you and Naruto proper at the moment? Why yes, Hinata squeaked out. Niji slid open the door. He took one look into a room that felt less like someone's bedchamber, and more like a pressure cooker that was on the verge of popping. The three shinobi weren't exactly sure what to do next. Naruto and Hinata still had steam coming out of their ears as they realized how charged that last moment had been. Niji simply wished he had shown up a few minutes earlier. Still, he had a message to deliver. The thunderstorm shows no signs of abating. Hayashi-sama has extended an invitation for Naruto to dine with us this evening as it would not be hospitable to send him home in such conditions, Niji explained. Thanks, I'm sure the food will be great, Naruto readily agreed. I will escort you to the dining room. Shall we proceed, Hinata-sama? Niji asked. Hinata nodded and headed out of her room. Naruto moved out with Niji. The older shinobi looked at Naruto with hard eyes. I hope you were respectful. Of course I was, Naruto didn't quite hiss. Why is everyone doubting that I'd be nice to Hinata-chan? There are expectations. Hinata-sama is very important to the Hyuga clan. Niji waited to see what Naruto's reaction would be. Well, Hinata-chan is important to me, too de Bayo. Naruto responded to Niji's test with his usual volume. Hinata tripped as her brain was suddenly happily overloaded again. Oni-sama. Hanabi called out. Hayashi's other pretty daughter was running through the halls towards her sister. Hanabi-chan. Hinata called back happily. Naruto found himself simultaneously cursing and thanking Erosenin for making him take closer looks at women. The Jinchuriki, temporarily forgetful of where he was and who was standing next to him, took a good look at both his girlfriend and her sister. Hinata was wearing a white, long-sleeved t-shirt that was well-fitted and a comfortable-looking pair of lavender capris. Hanabi was still wearing her black shinobi bodysuit. It was soaked from the rain. Naruto easily recognized the sisterly resemblance. Hanabi's development wasn't as far along as her older sister, but she was coming along nicely. The soaking wet genin promptly wrapped her somewhat protesting Onisama in a bear hug. Onisama, I was so bored during the last part of my mission. All we did was stand around. The only good part was when I learned that I won't have to beat up your boyfriend. I'm so glad to be home. I'm glad you are home, Hanabi-chan, but I'm wearing white. Hinata finished in an embarrassed whisper. Hanabi broke the hug and looked down. The younger sister had the good sense to look sheepish. Naruto had the good sense to not appear like he was gawking at the two beautiful Hyuga girls too much. Without thinking, Hinata turned to face Naruto and Niji. Excuse me Naruto-kun and Niji-nizan, but I must change. Etiquette requires that I be properly attired for dinner. The elder Hyuga sister was not fully aware of how wet her sister had been. Niji looked away out of respect. Naruto kept staring, also out of respect. His face was incredibly red and he covered his mouth and nose in a feeble attempt to hide the look of admiration for the first time in Naruto's life. He had a tiny bit of understanding why Jiraiya peeked at women's baths. Hinata looked down and realized her white top was now see-through. She did what came naturally. She screamed. Hanabi grabbed her sister's hand. The younger sister was apologizing profusely as she led Hinata towards the residential wing. Naruto's hormones decided to take control and his gaze followed the sisters down the hall. All the while, they whispered suggestions that Hinata and Hanabi looked as good from the back as they did from the front. Conscious thought took control just in time to see Niji pinning Naruto in place with a withering look. What? Naruto asked nervously. At least it wasn't Hayashi. Naruto, is there any apology you feel you should be offering? Niji asked his own question. Naturally, Naruto was a bit upset. It wasn't his fault Hinata-chan and Hanabi were that pretty. I'm sorry your cousins are really, really pretty? That, Naruto later decided, was probably not the wisest answer to give to a newly overprotective older brother figure. Naruto and Niji had been conversing with Hayashi for a few minutes before Hinata and Hanabi returned. Hinata, much to Naruto's relief, no longer looked mortified. The Hyuga sisters had slipped into traditional Hyuga robes. The clothing choice didn't send Naruto into a hormonal stupor, but the young man could appreciate the robes. They were regal, and as such, fit the character of Hinata and Hanabi very well. Forgive our tardiness, father, Hinata apologized. Hayashi held up his hand to forestall any further apologizes from his daughters. There is no need for apologizes. Dinner has not yet been served. The talk was light and Naruto enjoyed the chance to be involved in a family dinner. Naruto was really happy with the food. Homemade just tasted different somehow. However, Naruto tried not to frown as yet another peal of thunder emphasized the stubborn nature of the storm outside. He also couldn't help but notice how tired Hayashi looked. At least he doesn't look like he is in much pain, Naruto thought glumly. Hanabi and Hinata's forlorn looks didn't help Naruto's mood either. They were watching their father slowly wither away. I will retire for the evening, Hayashi announced. Naruto quickly followed Hinata, Hanabi, and Niji's lead and rose to his feet. Hinata, if you would show Naruto-san to a guest room. It would be a failing of Hyuga hospitality if we forced him to go home in such weather. I would be happy to show Naruto-kun to a guest room, Otosama. Hinata acknowledged her father's request. She couldn't believe how supportive her Otosama was of the embryonic relationship she had with Naruto. If she didn't know better, Hayashi was almost more excited about the possibility of the relationship than she was. Onisama, Hanabi said the second Hayashi left the room. After you show Naruto-kun to his room, would you like to join me in the baths? I would like that. I'm still sore from my training today. Would you mind if Korea-chan joined us? Hinata asked. Hanabi nodded. I'd like that. I want to know how she does that braid. Did they forget I'm in the room? If they keep talking like that, I'll turn into Ero Sennin. I want to be a badass shinobi like Ero Sennin. But I don't want to be a pervert like him. Naruto felt the same haze that fell over him in Hinata's room start to settle into place again. I'll see you later, Imuto. Hinata turned to Naruto with a smile on her face. The haze emphatically pointed out that the smile Hinata was wearing was reserved for very few people. Would you follow me, Naruto-kun? Sure, Hinata-chan, Naruto stammered in admiration. He was a bit dumbfounded by how fast and how strong his newfound attraction to Hinata was. I guess it is because she has acknowledged me in ways almost no one else has. It didn't explain why he had been checking out his girlfriend's sister, but Naruto chalked it up to having a thing for elegant and talented kunoichi. There was a bit of guilt with his fledgling physical attraction, but there wasn't any strong emotional connection with Hanabi like Naruto had with Hinata. I hope you enjoyed dinner, Naruto-kun, Hinata said hopefully. It was great. I'll have to thank your dad in the morning for letting me stay, Naruto replied. Hinata nodded. I never thought that Otosama would be this supportive. Maybe someone heard your wish in the first part of the Chunin exams? Naruto guessed. Hinata shot Naruto an inquisitive look. The young man continued, you said that you didn't want me to disappear there. Now, it looks like you're stuck with me. I prefer to think of it as being with instead of being stuck with you, Hinata confessed. She paused in front of a door. This will be your room for the evening, Naruto-kun. It's closer to your room than I thought it'd be, Naruto observed. Hinata blushed brightly, but nodded. Naruto felt the haze return a bit. His resistance to its influence had been weakening all day. In an uncharacteristic moment, Naruto gave up. He stopped fighting. Naruto would claim this as his first kiss. It was quick, chaste, and gentle. Naruto pulled back feeling pretty good about how he handled that situation. Good night, Hinata-chan. Hinata said in a daze. She was fairly certain all her blood was in her face. Naruto headed into the room. The heiress stared at Naruto's door as her mind processed what had just happened. The second it clicked, Hinata jumped up and down in place. She started shouting in exuberant incoherence. Her verbal outburst didn't make any sense, but her thoughts roughly translated to, "This really is the best day of my life." Chapter 3. Naruto sat at the edge of the bed the hyuuga had given him for the night. The young man was pretty sure it was 2 in the morning, but he couldn't sleep. The bed wasn't the problem. The unfamiliar setting wasn't the problem either. Well, not totally. Heck, the reason he couldn't sleep wasn't even bad. It had all started when he had woken up a few hours ago in need of a bathroom. Naruto, being a guest, knew it would have been alright to ask for directions. He just didn't want to wake anyone up. In his misguided, sleep-drunk politeness, Naruto wandered the halls until he found a door that was inexplicably cracked open. At first, his sleep-addled brain was thrilled to see the edge of a toilet. Then he registered 3 facts that froze him in place outside of the door. First, there was the sound of sloshing and draining water. That immediately put Naruto on guard as it was a fairly clear signal that the bath was occupied. Second, was a trio of distinct feminine laughs. "I haven't had that much fun in a while," Hinata clearly said on the other side of the door. A voice Naruto didn't recognize spoke next. "I apologize for keeping you up, Hinata-sama, Hanabi-sama." "Don't worry about it, Kariya-san," Hanabi assured this Kariya girl. "We won't mention to the elders that we all dared to have fun and had the audacity and gall to actually be friends with each other." At that moment the third fact revealed itself and Naruto saw something that would grace his dreams for the next several weeks. Through the crack in the door, Naruto caught a flash of skin that clearly belonged to his mind-bogglingly attractive girlfriend. The image was visible only for the heartbeat it took to redirect pretty much all of his blood to his cheeks and secondary brain. He was fully awake and had discovered a fundamental universal truth. He had been wrong earlier. Oh, so victoriously wrong. Hinata had a much better body than Ino, and they were having fun together. A hallucination of a tiny Jiraiya, complete with a tiny notebook and a perverted giggle, appeared on Naruto's shoulder. At fun? Naruto thought, and much to his conflicted dismay and wonder caught a minuscule glance at the hyuuga girl he hadn't met personally. Naruto instinctively knew it wasn't Hanabi, as the other girl was too tall to be Hinata's sister. Naruto's hands shot to his mouth to stem his nose's sudden torrent. The Chunin knew that one of his future responsibilities was to know when a situation was best served by executing a hasty retreat. He, fortunately for his bladder, found an unoccupied bathroom on the way back to his guest room. Naruto buried his face in the pillow and tried to sleep. However, it did not come easily, as the flashes of Hinata he saw graced every second his eyes were closed. His imagination was doing the best job it could do to fill in the blanks. The young man chuckled into the pillow, before shooting to his feet on the bed. An irrational fear that Niji, or Hayashi could read minds like a Yamanaka had been planted in his mind. He pushed it aside and tried to sleep, but the welcomed flashes of imagery and fear of Hayashi resurfaced every time. Oh God, Hayashi-sama didn't want me to see that until I married Hinata-chan. He'll spontaneously recover to beat me into a coma. At least he'll be healed though. That should win me a few points with Hinata-chan. No. I can impress Hinata-chan without nearly being murdered by her father. Hayashi despised many details of his condition. He despised that it was the enemy he hated above all others, Kumo, that put him in this condition. The Hyuga clan had fought on the front lines against Kumo in the last Shinobi World War. The memories of the war had definitely added to Hayashi's satisfaction when he had killed the head ninja. Those same memories drove his willingness to sacrifice his life for the village. He remembered the horrors of war, and how Kumo was a worthy adversary for Konoha. Hundreds, perhaps thousands would die in any war. His daughters could not, and would not see the hell of a Shinobi World War if Hayashi had any say in the matter. He hated how his rivals, including his own father, were trying to take advantage of his weakness to undo his reforms and cast his beloved daughters aside. Hayashi currently hated the fact that his body had failed him to the point where he required a cane. Yo! Naruto shouted a very unconventional greeting to the head of the Hyuga clan. Good morning, Hayashi-sama. Good morning, Naruto. I hope your evening was pleasant. Hayashi returned the greeting. Naruto's blush earned a semi-amused quirk of the eyebrow from the Hyuga head. The boy put a confident front and nodded. Yeah, it was great. Thanks for letting me stay the night. You're welcome. Hayashi nodded at the boy who was courting his eldest daughter. I promised you access to the histories of the relationship between the Uzumaki clan and the Hyuga clan. You did. Hayashi-sama, you have no idea how big a deal this is for me. Naruto shouted. He considered hugging the man for a moment, but was worried he'd bowl him over. Naruto, you are doing a great deal for me as well, Hayashi reminded the young man. Follow me to my office. Sure, Naruto agreed. The clan had led Naruto to the office. Hayashi sat first before offering Naruto a seat. The current archivist is clearly in my father's camp. Katashi-san will no doubt attempt to delay your searches. Instead, seek out Kariya-san. She is a friend of Hinata's, and is being trained to succeed Katashi-san as archivist. Hayashi looked down to write out a form stating that Kariya was to assist Naruto in his search. Thus, he missed Naruto's eyes glaze over a bit as he recalled the previous evening, and it's good Hinata-chan has friends in the clan. It is, Hayashi agreed and handed over the orders. That bears my personal seal. None will be able to dispute your orders. Hinata-chan's granddad might argue that point, Naruto grumbled. Hayashi leaned back in his chair and smiled. He will try. He will fail, but he will try. Oh man, I'm glad we are getting along so well, Naruto laughed. Korea yawned as she put away one of the scrolls detailing the history of her clan. She had recently finished another restoration of that scroll. It was finally safe to move the ancient scroll. The past few days had been incredibly boring. Reviewing each and every scroll to make sure that they were not in need of restoration was tedious. Her valuable work maintained the Hyuga's historical records. It glorified the clan. The restoration unequivocally demonstrated that the Hyuga clan were masters of the past as well as taijutsu. Korea's valuable work was a thief. It had stolen the Hyuga cadet away from her own life and dreams. Her future had been cast aside so that she could be shackled to the past. Why do you get to stay here? Why do I have to go meet the replacement goldfish for our old team? Korea gaped at the conversation taking place at the entrance to the Hyuga archives. It was a voice she didn't recognize, but instantly knew. Can you make a dozen copies of us? A second incarnation of the voice countered. Damn it, fine. I'll leave the clan compound where our insanely gorgeous girlfriend lives with a bunch of other very pretty girls and go deal with the brooding Sasuke. The second Naruto voice groaned. Maybe you can challenge him to spar? I mean, sparring always puts him in a better mood. You did pump a ton of chakra into me, sure, why not? It'll be fun, I guess, Naruto voice number 1 conceded. Korea had moved closer to the door in an attempt to sate her building curiosity. She heard one set of footsteps fade with distance. The second set moved closer to the door. Excuse me? Naruto's voice called out. Korea assumed it was the original Naruto. The conversation had implied he was speaking with a bunshin of some kind he had created. She straightened her simple Hyuga robes and opened the door. I hope I'm not blushing. He described Hyuga girls in general as very pretty. That probably included me. How may I help you? Korea asked as she bowed. The bow served as a nice cover to take a look at Hinata-sama's suitor. He was still wearing his Chunin uniform, but wearing it very well. Naruto's appearance was so unlike any of the Hyuga. Naruto was also very different from Takano-sensei, in appearance at least, and from Joichiro-kun and Masaji-kun. Korea was really starting to understand part of Hinata-sama's interest in Uzumaki Naruto. Well, you're not a grumpy old man working for Hinata's grandpa's hole, so that means you're Korea and exactly who I'm looking for. Grandpa's hole? Korea covered her mouth and gasped. The gasp twisted and evolved of its own free will. Now, Korea's hand was a dam futilely attempting to hold back the raging torrent of her laughter. Naruto had said, in a way that caused her lungs to scream in protest, something that practically the entire Hyuga clan had only dreamed of. Oh God! Grandpa's hole. Ha! I knew I wasn't the only one who was thinking that. Naruto shook his head. No, Korea struggled to get such a simple monosyllable word past her laughter. We just never thought of using a term like that. Naruto's triumphant grin lit up the room. Korea took a deep breath, both because she desperately needed it and to further compose herself. It is nice to finally meet you, Uzumaki-san. Hinata-sama always speaks so highly of you. Nice to meet you too. Naruto rubbed the back of his head. It was a nervous habit Hinata-sama had described as endearing. Hinata-sama always spoke glowingly about Naruto, but Korea could definitely agree with the assessment now that she had finally met Naruto in person. For his part, Naruto was getting a decent look at Korea for the first time. He desperately tried to keep the imagery formed the previous night to a minimum. Korea's facial features, along with those of a few other Hyuga Naruto had noticed around the compound, almost looked like some of those of the Suna ninja Naruto had seen during the Chunin exams. Her forehead's covered, that means she has that damn manji branded there, Naruto thought. It was bad enough that Niji, one of Naruto's sort of friends, was branded with the curse seal. The thought that it appeared to be so common made it worse. Naruto remembered that Jiraiya was a Fuinjutsu expert. I'll have to talk to Ero-sennin about that soon, Naruto declared to himself. He'd have to at least understand Fuinjutsu if he was going to succeed in changing the Hyuga clan and removing that damned seal. Oh, before we really get off track, I need your help. You're the archivist, right? Naruto asked. I'm Katashi-sama's apprentice. I will not have the title officially until he retires or passes on, Korea explained. Naruto grunted. I don't see him around, and it looks like you've been doing all the work around here. So, as far as I'm concerned, you're the archivist. Anyone who's on Hinata-chan's side and not Grandpa's whole side is going to get my vote. Thank you, Uzumaki-san. Korea bowed. It was nice to have her work and efforts appreciated again. Why do you think I've been doing all the restoration work? Naruto chuckled and winked. You've got some ink stains on the edge of your sleeve. And call me Naruto. Uzumaki-san is way too formal for me. It's driving me nuts having to call Hayashi-sama Sama. I feel like I'm not being his friend when I use Sama. He views Hayashi-sama as a friend? They barely know each other, but Hayashi-sama is openly approving of Naruto-san, Korea thought, before looking at the end of her sleeves. How did he notice the stains? I didn't notice those. It is rare for someone to approach Hayashi-sama so casually, Korea managed to squeak out. Well, maybe that's why I'm here? I mean, Hinata-chan and her sister can't be the only ones actually having fun around here, Kariya giggled. If Naruto's humor was infectious, then it was the most welcome virus in the history of the world. Some of the elders frown on such displays. I believe we are getting off track again. Seems like it. Naruto laughed as he fished a scroll out of one of his flak jacket's pockets. Hayashi-sama gave me permission to look at the records of how the Hyuga and my clan, the Uzumaki, got along. Naruto watched her carefully as Kariya slipped into memory. There was no denying that she was definitely Hyuga. The Uzumaki Chunin was still curious as to why he thought of Suna when he saw Kariya. Naruto opened his mouth to ask the question, but Kariya beat him to the punch. We have numerous records of our interaction with the Uzumaki clan. Unfortunately, the pre-founding records are currently undergoing restoration. That scroll is currently being treated by cryptology in a chakra matrix to restore the structural integrity of the scroll. Kariya giggled as Naruto started to pout. The look reminded Kariya of her young cousin, Katsuro, being told he couldn't have dessert first. What other records do you have? I believe that the clan's records on the wedding of the Shodai Hokage and Uzumaki Mito have recently been restored. That historical record would be a great choice. It will show more than just the Hyuga's relationship to your clan. That's awesome! Naruto shouted. He suddenly realized he was basically in the Hyuga library and clammed up. Kariya's urge to laugh out loud was feverish. If there was a prescription to cure Naruto's good humor, Kariya would make it her life mission to keep it out of the elders' hands. Follow me, Kariya said warmly. I'll have to warn you, even with the restoration, the scrolls are very old and delicate. I promise I'll be very careful. Naruto thumped his chest. Hey, Kariya. I have a semi-personal question. Oh? What's that, Naruto-san? Kariya was glad she was in front of Naruto. Her position hid her nervous blush. Was someone in your family from Suna or something? I mean, you stand out as much as Hinata-chan and Hanabi. It's pretty unique, Naruto finished quickly. A flash of last night had momentarily distracted him. Kariya nearly tripped as she heard Naruto's attempt to cover his slip. Well, she paused. Before the Hyuga clan settled in Konoha, we traveled across the southern areas of the continent. For a time, we were very influential in what would become the Land of Wind. There were several marriages between local nobility and the Hyuga during that time. Oh, Naruto said. He noticed that Kariya was smiling as she recounted the history of her clan. Kariya, for her part, acknowledged that she truly enjoyed the history of her clan. If her future position as archivist hadn't been forced, or used as a gilded cage to punish her for questioning the clan's treatment of Hinata, she would have accepted the offer of her own free will. The features occasionally return. I guess that heritage is mine, Kariya admitted. Naruto smiled as they reached a section of the records room. Like I said, you certainly aren't the average Hyuga. Kariya turned to face Naruto. She wasn't even going to try to fight her blush. Thank you. You're welcome. Naruto responded with the most enthusiastic graciousness Kariya had ever heard. He made a hand seal the Hyuga cadet did not recognize. A second Naruto appeared out of a smoke screen. You know how to handle the scrolls, right? The clone rolled its eyes. Of course. Do you think I'd do anything to get Hayashi-sama, or worse, Hinata-chan mad at me? Good point, Naruto agreed with the clone. He turned back to Kariya. Thanks again. I am happy to help you. This conversation has made my day, Kariya responded with a bow. Once again, Naruto, both of them, rubbed the back of their heads. You are very lucky, Hinata-sama. Uchiha Sasuke was at his core someone who craved, even lusted after, stability and familiarity. His world, and perhaps his sanity, had been torn apart the night Itachi betrayed the Uchiha clan. As he slowly recovered, Sasuke had discovered or been consumed by a new form of stability. His hatred and pursuit of vengeance had become his focus. Sasuke had slipped into a familiar routine of training, focusing on his hatred for Itachi, and planning for the day he killed Itachi. That stability had carried Sasuke far. Recently, Sasuke had found a routine and stability in Team 7. The training had, at first, given him hope that he could catch up to Itachi. The mission to wave had awakened his Sharingan. Kakashi had provided him with a powerful jutsu in the Chidori. The knowledge Kakashi had provided on the Sharingan was vastly more important than the jutsu. Of everything Sasuke had gotten out of Team 7, Naruto's rivalry was probably the most important. Naruto had pushed Sasuke further and faster than Sasuke had thought possible. Sasuke couldn't deny that Naruto truly was his best friend. The events of the Chunin exam had all but confirmed that. Then Orochimaru and Itachi had shown him that what Sasuke thought was enough was anything but. Itachi had obliterated Sasuke, even with Sasuke's Sharingan and Chidori. Now, Sasuke was quickly falling behind Naruto of all people. Sasuke's somewhat idiotic best friend had not only defeated Gaara and mastered a powerful jutsu that rivaled or surpassed the Chidori, but had been promoted to Chunin. The difference has to be Jiraiya of the Sannin. That was the only explanation that made any sense at all. Naruto's promotion did not sit well with Sasuke. On the one hand, it was a constant reminder that Naruto had truly surpassed him. There was also the infuriating fact that Sasuke no longer had an adequate gauge for his progression. Team 7's new member, a genin named Koda, was too deferential. Sasuke vaguely remembered that he came from a very minor clan, barely more than a family, which had always been a vassal of the Uchiha. There was no way Kota would challenge Sasuke's growth or lack thereof. He would praise Sasuke's prowess in an attempt to gain favor with the Uchiha. There was a part of Sasuke that admitted he enjoyed the thought of people attempting to curry favor with his clan. If only there was a clan to curry favor with, Sasuke thought. Excuse me, Uchiha-sama. Kota was attempting to broach whatever subject was on his mind with care. Is Kakashi-sensei always late? Sasuke grunted and nodded. Sakura, who had been mostly quiet after Sasuke had ignored her last request to spend time together after training, decided to rejoin the conversation. Kakashi-sensei is chronically tardy. He'll show up with a very lame excuse. I dunno, I kinda like the one about the dance-off against the ghost of MC Genjusta Daichi. Everyone looked up to see the blonde-headed former member of Team 7 approach from the street. How are you, Sakura-chan? Sasuke? New guy. My name is Kota, Naruto-senpai. The young man bowed politely as he introduced himself. Naruto chuckled. No need for that. You're probably older than I am. I can't believe I'm about to say this, Sakura began with a laugh. You actually look pretty good in the flak jacket, Naruto. Thanks. Naruto flashed a thumbs up. Everyone was shocked when Naruto blushed and looked down. They expected, even Kota who had barely seen Naruto's crush during the academy, this reaction. They hadn't expected the target of Naruto's affections, however. Hinata-chan thought the same thing. Since when has it been Hinata-chan? Sakura teased good-naturedly. 2 days, Naruto admitted. I went to ask her dad for permission, and well, turns out Hiashi-sama heard about the blood vow. Naruto, everyone has heard about the blood vow. Everyone jumped as an incredibly casual voice joined the conversation. You're late. Naruto and Sakura called out, mostly in nostalgia. Kakashi, who was sitting on a tree limb behind Team 7 and Naruto, put away his copy of Ika Ika. Well, you see, I was on my way here when this ghost of an obscure Western holiday appeared and asked me for directions to a miserly old man's house. After explaining that I had no idea where said businessman lived, the ghost left. I didn't want to bring along any ghostess to the team meeting. I had to head to a temple to get purified. After that, I had to avoid a migration of black cats. You know how it is. Naruto nodded a few times. It's complicated. No one wants to get caught up in any ghostess. Good to see someone understands. Kakashi laughed, mainly at the dumbfounded look Team 7 was giving the Jonin and Chunin. Now I know that you probably have a lot of new responsibilities, Naruto. We won't keep you, but would you like to say a few words to your teammates? Yeah, Naruto agreed. They'll always be my teammates. Even Kota. At the end of the day, we are all shinobi of Konoha. Sasuke, Sakura-chan, our missions, even chasing that damn cat, will always be some of my most precious memories. I haven't had many bonds in my life. You all were some of my first. I'll always treasure Team 7. Sakura-chan, thanks for the hints back and wave for tree walking. Sasuke team, we're going to have to find a time to just beat the absolute crap out of each other. Sakura, Kakashi, and Kota laughed at Naruto's joke about the cat. The joke even got a smirk out of Sasuke. Naruto broke the ice and the conversation became light and natural. Eventually, the Chunin said his goodbyes and departed. Kakashi reached into his pocket after waving goodbye to his knucklehead student. Now, before we can take on some missions, we need to have a bit of survival training. Sakura groaned and Sasuke narrowed his eyes as Kakashi produced 2 bells. Kakashi noticed their reaction and I smiled. I'm sure you two know how this song and dance goes. Across the training ground, Naruto's Kage Bunshin was smiling as he recalled the original Team 7's bell test. I hope the boss liked my speech. That wasn't as bad as I feared, the Kage Bunshin thought before he dispelled. Yuma no Iruka was ready for a pleasant evening of absolutely nothing. This was the first week since the Sound and Sand invasion where Iruka had used his pre-existing lesson plans. There was going to be no stress tonight, Iruka declared to himself. Naruto was off with Jiraiya-sama, or the Hyuuga clan if the rumors were true. Thus, Iruka's wallet was safe from paying for a very hungry teenager's dinner bill for a while. I guess Naruto's meeting with Hiashi-sama went well. Iruka was proud of his surrogate little brother. He finished locking up his planning room while whistling the theme song to his childhood's favorite movie. Iruka turned around and saw a woman approaching who matched the theme of his puberty's favorite magazine's themes. She was a Hyuuga, as her Byakugan made it impossible for her to be anything else. Her outfit was what reminded of his teenage years. The Hyuuga woman was wearing a maid's outfit. She was also wearing a determined, yet polite look. It suited her well, Iruka thought. Excuse me, the Hyuuga's voice rang out. In Iruka's mind, it was almost the perfect impression of a Yamato Nadeshiko. May I help you, miss? Iruka asked with a small blush. He was slightly embarrassed by the direction his thoughts had led. There was also the fact he was nervous at the attention of a beautiful woman. I am Hyuuga Natsu, an attendant of Hinata-sama and primarily Hanabi-sama. Would you happen to be Yuma no Iruka? Iruka put on his best smile. I am. Let me guess, you want to talk about Naruto? He hasn't been too much of an uncouth knucklehead, has he? On the contrary, he has been charming almost unnaturally so, Natsu confessed. She had, somewhat contrary to Hiashi-sama's orders, kept close tabs on Naruto's interactions with Hanabi-sama and Hinata-sama. Natsu wasn't familiar with Naruto personally, but recalled his nature as a prankster and general troublemaker. Additionally, she was concerned about the kyuubi sealed within Naruto. The hyuuga maid knew that Naruto was not the kyuubi and was in no way directly influenced or controlled by the biju. Her concern regarded the late Sandaime-sama's law on revealing the existence of the kyuubi. Hinata and Hanabi had always shown a nerve-wracking amount of curiosity about the Uzumaki boy. The girls' natural empathy had led them to sympathize with the outcast. Natsu was constantly fretting that if they observed him with their Byakugan that they would stumble upon certain truths. Sarutobi Hiruzen-sama was always fairly legalistic. I doubt he would have executed Hinata-sama or Hanabi-sama as the law mandated, but I cannot bear the thought of those precious girls being in danger. Tsunade-sama has not revealed her stance on that law. Are you sure we're talking about Uzumaki Naruto? Charming? Iruka blurted out. The thought of Naruto acting suave was the single most hilarious image he had experienced in days. I was under the impression that you were very close to Uzumaki-san, Natsu deadpanned. The teacher chuckled. I guess I am. That's part of the reason I'm so surprised. He hasn't been too forward with Hinata, has he? I know he was very excited about the chance to ask her out. Natsu seemed a bit relieved. Perhaps we should discuss this at length. There is a coffee shop nearby. I hope it is not too forward, but I feel it is a pleasant place for conversation. Unless Natsu reveals Naruto has done something awful, I'll be thanking him with a trip to Ichiraka for this, Iruka thought. That is a very nice cafe, Iruka agreed. I hope that I can put your concerns to rest. Naruto means well and I can promise that he isn't trying to take advantage of Hinata in any way. Thank you, the hyuuga maid responded. The hyuuga caretaker and the academy teacher entered the cafe. After a while, they retrieved their orders. The pair sat and enjoyed the coffee, which was still a fairly exotic drink due to the instability in the far south. Eventually, Iruka decided to take the lead. Natsu-san, what has you concerned about Naruto's interaction with your charges? I have known about Hinata-sama's infatuation with Uzumaki-san for some time, but Natsu paused to find the right words. Everyone knew that Iruka and Naruto were close. Iruka hummed understandingly. Let me guess, Naruto's enthusiasm caught you off guard. The boy had shown little knowledge of Hinata's existence prior to the Chunin exams. Hayashi-sama may approve of some of Uzumaki-san's forward acts, but I still must do my part to protect Hinata-sama's virtue. Natsu pursed her lips. She quickly locked eyes with Iruka after the teacher snorted. Her glare hardened, but that only seemed to amuse Iruka more. Is there something amusing, Yumino-san? Naruto trying to physically seduce Hinata is probably the least of your worries, Iruka explained. If I had to wager, I'd say he's probably freaking out over his attraction to Hinata. Naruto hasn't told me for some reason, but there was an event in his childhood that made him very wary of perverts and overt sexuality. We know he wasn't abused in any way. I think he was just embarrassed by something or someone. I was unaware, Natsu admitted. Not many people are. He's recently been opening up to several people, such as myself, Tsunade-sama, Jiraiya-sama. I think the experience with the hyuuga will help him. Your clan will help him view such matters in a healthy way, Iruka finished. Iruka-san, I must thank you for not only putting my concerns to rest, but for your faith in the hyuuga, Natsu said apologetically. You were acting in what you considered Hinata and Hanabi's best interest. I should thank you for not acting against Naruto based off the prejudices the village forced upon him. I'm glad to see that the village is finally seeing Naruto for the dedicated, hard-working, and loyal young man he truly is. Naruto-san is fortunate to have such a staunch defender, Natsu complimented the teacher. Iruka looked down in embarrassment. I actually hated Naruto at first. I was just as guilty of baseless prejudice as the rest of Konoha. I find that hard to believe, Iruka-san. Your loyalty to Naruto seems as strong as my loyalty to Hinata-sama and Hanabi-sama. Natsu leaned forward curiously. Not at first. Iruka met Natsu's gaze. It was a rare day when someone could maintain eye contact with the hyuuga. My friendship with Naruto started over a bowl of ramen. Uzumaki Naruto, the original and not one of the many clones scattered across Konoha, arrived at the apartment Jiraiya used while in Konoha. The freshly promoted Chunin knocked on the door. He hoped Jiraiya was there, but doubted it. I should have brought Niji along. There's no way I'd bring Hinata to meet Erosenin without Bachan, Hayashi-sama, or half a dozen responsible adults around. Hold your horses, the agitated Toad Sage shouted. Naruto was relieved that he had caught his irresponsible, but knowledgeable teacher at home. Jiraiya opened the door and grinned at his apprentice. Well, look who it is. Come on in. Naruto took a cautious glance into the apartment. He had been expecting a monstrosity straight out of the brothels Naruto had discovered Jiraiya in during their search for Tsunade. Instead, he saw a comfortable yet sparsely furnished room. The most prominent features were a pair of broken-in recliners, a small table, and a desk setting. The desk was clearly the most used piece of furniture in the immediate area. There were stacks of paper, pens, notebooks and other tools Jiraiya needed for his other job. Naruto finally stepped in the apartment and headed for the closer recliner. Jiraiya had a look of relief as he sat in the other one. Guess that was his favorite, Naruto thought. Not what you were expecting, brat? Jiraiya asked with a hearty laugh. Naruto returned the laugh and shook his head. I expected something I dunno, crazier. That's not surprising, Jiraiya acknowledged. I'm just not around in Konoha enough to really need a fully decked out apartment. I'm on the road so much with my network. Makes sense, Naruto relented. So, what brings you here? We aren't meeting for training until after your date, Jiraiya pointed out. I've got Kage Bunshin running around taking care of a couple of things. Hinata-chan is meeting with Kurenai-sensei about something, so I can't train with her in taijutsu yet, and I can't find Niji. Smart thinking brat, Jiraiya interrupted in order to praise his student. The only shinobi on a hyuga's level for taijutsu are Might Guy and his apprentice. Yeah, super bushy brows and Lee are really good at taijutsu. Anyway, I was thinking about training and I came up with a question that has been eating at me. Ask away. The Chunin met his teacher's eyes. Do you know how to counter the Sharingan? Itachi is after me. He's after Sasuke. There will be a second run-in with the guy. If he catches me with that genjutsu he wrecked Sasuke with, you'd be fucked, Jiraiya finished bluntly. It'd be bad. Naruto actually shivered at the thought of how outclassed he was by Itachi at the moment. I do remember something from my team's mission to Wave though. Zabuza, that eyebrowless freak, found a way to counter Kakashi-sensei's Sharingan. Jiraiya leaned back in his seat and waited to hear Naruto's theory. Jiraiya had never really had to fight against the Sharingan much in his career. Still, with Itachi going rogue and Orochimaru trying his damnedest to get his scaly mitts on the Sharingan, Jiraiya needed to discover potential counters. Well, Zabuza used the Kirigakure no Jutsu a lot. At first, he didn't make it really thick and paid for it when Kakashi-sensei kicked his ass, with Sasuke's and my help obviously. Zabuza really poured a ton of chakra into the jutsu for the rematch. The mist was so thick that it almost felt solid. If he can't see you to make eye contact, there's far less chance to be caught in a genjutsu. The Sharingan can see the color and intensity of chakra. Pumping a ton into your jutsu could confuse that sense, Erosenin said admiringly. I thought it wasn't as good at seeing chakra as Hinata-chan's Byakugan, Naruto blurted out. The Sharingan can only see the color of chakra and how intense it is. The Byakugan can see details like the chakra network, active seals, area of effect genjutsu. You name something created, powered, or using chakra and the Hyuga can see it. Not only can they see it, they can give you details beyond color and intensity like weaknesses, flow, and direction. What's the difference between intensity and weaknesses? Aren't flow and direction the same thing? Naruto asked. The difference is subtle. We'll go into a lot of detail tomorrow as it'll help with genjutsu and eventually mastering the Kyuubi's chakra. Naruto flinched, but Jiraiya continued. Besides, you've got a date tonight. The last thing you want is for me to ramble on for hours about Tenketsu when you should be focusing on that girlfriend of yours. Naruto chuckled nervously. The venerable sage continued, the basics of each are simple enough. Tsunadeheim knows the advanced theoretical stuff. Let's start with intensity and weakness. Intensity is just what it sounds like. A powerful jutsu, or say the Kyuubi's chakra, will have high intensity. The Sharingan and Byakugan will see it burning brightly. The Sharingan can only see how bright or intense the chakra is. The Byakugan can see strength and weakness. Say, the ninja messes up his jutsu. The Byakugan can see where he screwed up. The chakra will still appear intense, but the Byakugan could tell where it was thinner or uneven. That's awesome, but don't the Hyuga and Sasuke's clan try to keep this stuff secret? It's some of their most important secrets. I've just been around Hyuga and Uchiha for longer than almost anyone. I've fought, bled, and suffered alongside them in the mud and hell of shinobi world wars. You'll pick up details like that over 30 years. This was one of the first times Naruto truly appreciated just how great a shinobi Jiraiya was. Sure, Itachi and Kisame had run away rather than risk Naruto being taken out in the crossfire of a fight versus Jiraiya. This moment was just far more personal. It just stuck with Naruto. The young man couldn't help but smile as his sensei launched into the explanation on flow and direction. Even if Erosenin made the occasional crack about Naruto's knucklehead reputation, Hinata dodged out of the way of Shino's taijutsu strike. She was proud of her Aburame teammates' progress. Shino was becoming a more complete shinobi, just as Hinata was improving. Teammate was something Hinata was very proud of. Her teammates had encouraged and supported her. Kiba, in fact, was as supportive of Hinata's feelings as Hanabi. Niji Nai-san is my brother in blood, Hinata thought as she blocked a fairly standard kata from Shino. Kiba-kun is almost an idealized image of what a big brother should be. Hinata countered Shino's combination with one of her own. The Hyuga heiress held back as best she could. The last thing Hinata wanted to do was harm Shino or his hives. Her assault pushed Shino back and nearly bowled him over. Hinata, Shino, you have both showed great improvement in your taijutsu, Kurenai commended her students. As Hinata had no doubt observed, Kurenai noticed the steady improvement Shino had made during Team 8's existence. The Aburame heir was one of the most powerful shinobi of his generation. Shino was incredibly skilled and dedicated. Kurenai considered herself fortunate that Shino's initial taijutsu scores were so low. If he had scored higher, there was a chance he could have surpassed Uchiha Sasuke for Rookie of the Year. That would have destroyed Kurenai's vision for a dedicated reconnaissance cell. Hinata made Kurenai the proudest. She had truly bloomed into a beautiful and powerful kunoichi. The Chunin exams had cleansed her of hesitation and self-doubt. The world was finally recognizing all of the Hyuga maidens' hard work and dedication. It made Kurenai so very proud. Thank you, Kurenai-sensei, the two genin said at once. Kurenai smiled. I am merely stating a truth. I am proud of both of you. We are done for the day. After all, we can't have Hinata be late for tonight, now can we? Hinata blushed furiously. Kiba and Akamaru laughed out loud. The Nikan even rolled on his back in uncontrollable amusement. Shino's shoulders twitched mirthfully. Wait. Shino-kun, I need you to throw kunai or shuriken at me. There is something I need to show you all. Teammate looked forward in shock. Had Hinata finally mastered that technique? Are you sure, Hinata? Shino asked firmly. Hinata nodded resolutely. Then prepare yourself. 1, 2, 3, Naruto's voice counted time in Hinata's head. Instantly, she was encased in an orb of pure, violent chakra. The 3 shuriken were practically erased by the potent chakra sphere. Hinata! Kurenai shouted happily. I'm so proud of you. Akamaru howled and Kiba pumped his fist. About time. Great work. Thank you all, Hinata said with a bow. Teammates spoke for a few moments before Kurenai ended the day's practice. The Hyuga beauty said a quick, very excited, very happy goodbye to her friends and teacher. She then left the training ground at a pace neither boy had seen previously. She was using chakra to increase her speed. Kiba's observation was as flat and dry as the desert surrounding Suna. I must confess that I am surprised by her chakra reserves, Shino confessed. Hinata did just master the Kaiten. I was under the impression that the Hyuga's perfect defense was a far more taxing technique. Akamaru barked and rolled on the ground. Kiba nodded. When you're right, Akamaru. Hinata's chakra control is probably the best I've ever seen. The question remains why Hinata would support a light training day and then use chakra to increase her speed. Why? Hinata has always been the most dedicated and hardest, perhaps excessively so, training member of our team. Kurenai rested a hand on her 2 shinobi students' shoulders. Hinata was very excited about tonight. She has a date with Uzumaki Naruto. Akiba and even Shino said in unison. Hanabi sighed as Tsuyoshi-san turned his back after Yuka-sensei called an end to the evasion exercise. The blossoming Hyuga maiden maintained a professional relationship with Tsuyoshi-san and Ayuma-san, but she could not consider either of them friends. The older boys resented Hanabi's presence on the team. They felt that the younger girl was a show-off due to her natural talents, Byakugan, and status within Konoha's strongest clan. Hanabi wondered why the path to her fate had to be so obscured and rocky. The belief in fate was actually fairly common in the Hyuga clan. Niji's belief in fatalism was simply the most extreme form of this belief. The cadet prodigy had convinced himself, until Naruto literally beat the belief out of him, that fate determined every action in one's life. Hanabi rejected that belief in its totality. Instead, she used fate as a comfort. She believed everyone had a destiny to reach. It was almost impossible to know what the destiny was, but that wasn't the point. The journey to the destiny was what mattered. Everything happened for a reason. I guess this part of the journey is teaching me to appreciate what bonds I really have, Hanabi grumbled after saying goodbye to her sensei. The bond she was most proud of, and appreciated the greatest, was the bond with her Oni-sama. And I need to find her so I can help and mercilessly tease her before the date with Naruto-kun. Hanabi activated her Byakugan and focused her vision to the west. A focused Byakugan could see greater distances, but lost much of the ability to see in all directions. Still, it helped that Hanabi knew which direction her Oni-sama would be traveling. The younger Hyuga planned to meet Hinata halfway. Fortunately, Hinata had the same idea as her sister. Hanabi-chan. How was your day, Himoto? Fine, Hanabi admitted. Glad work's done. Hanabi-chan, you're not having problems with your team? Hinata was concerned for her sister. Until recently, Hanabi was far and away the closest and dearest person in Hinata's life. She could read the emotions that plagued her sister, as well as anyone. Hanabi was clearly upset. I guess I've been jealous of you recently, Hanabi confessed. Teammate has such a great relationship and I've heard you talking about how Kurenai-sensei has done so much for you. My team is professional and we all get along alright, but, you were hoping for friendships? Hinata asked gently. Hanabi nodded. You already have great friends and will make many more. Thanks for the encouragement, Oni-sama. Hanabi's face lit up at her sister's words. Hinata was her best friend and she was grateful. I just kinda wish I had more. You have your teammates, your boyfriend, Korea-chan, the other teams from your academy class me? It's pretty much you, Korea-chan, and Natsu-san. I'm on friendly terms with Naruto-kun, but I've only just met him. Next time my peers get together, I'll make sure you come along, Hinata declared. It was as if Hanabi had become her namesake for a moment. You're the greatest, Oni-sama. Enough sulking. I want to see this dress Korea-chan loaned you. I think Naruto-kun will like it, Hinata admitted. Police. Hanabi gestured dismissively. Natsu-san mentioned that he was wowed by you in your training robes. Seeing you in a dress might just cause permanent brain damage. Let's hope it doesn't go that far, Hinata whispered. The Hyuga sisters arrived comfortably at their ancestral compound thanks to the wonders of familiarity and small talk. Quickly, the 2 kunoichi slipped stealthily towards their objective. Through the use of the bloodline inheritance, Hinata and Hanabi tracked their quarry. You have done well, Korea-san. I shall agree to your request to retire early for the evening, Hyuga Katashi magnanimously decreed. Hayashi's daughters quickly pounced upon the exhausted apprentice archivist and dragged her towards the residential wing. For a short time, the three would not be kunoichi. They would be free of responsibilities and able to act their age. It was liberating. Naruto wasn't sure which emotion should be stronger at the moment between his nervousness, his excitement, and self-confidence. That self-confidence reeked of arrogance. Naruto quickly tossed those emotions to the side. This was not a night all about him. It was just as much about Hinata. Hayashi's request that Naruto marry Hinata had not been forgotten. Tonight would be a huge test towards seeing just how all of that would work. Time, sadly, was not really on Naruto's and Hinata's side. Naruto wouldn't put it past Shuichi and the other elders to seal and marry Hinata off the second the last of Hayashi's ashes had settled for collection within the Hyuga clan's crematorium. The bastards, Naruto growled as he finished shining his new shoes. Fury bubbled beneath the surface. The heat pushed memories of how hard Hinata had fought against Neji to the surface. They've never even considered that, have they? Shuichi, her fucking grandfather, probably doesn't even want to acknowledge how hard Hinata-chan is willing to fight for what she believes and what she cares for and wants. Fuck that old guy. If there was a way to trade his life for Hayashi-sama's, I'd take it. Naruto took several calming breaths. His focus was on much happier memories. Hinata's pep talk at the posts, Jiraiya cheering for Naruto at the festival games during the search for Bachan, seeing Hinata and Hanabi hugging soaking wet dam at Erosenin, and finally his first kiss with Hinata. In an instant, Naruto was at peace. The furious heat had receded. Unfortunately, an entirely new heat had taken its place. I don't want to be late, Naruto quickly told himself. The sun was retreating from the sky and taking most of its heat with it. As the moon cautiously peeked over the horizon, the air had achieved a pleasant equilibrium. The comfortable air put him more and more at ease. Naruto had always taken advantage of his massive chakra reserves to exploit Kage Bunshin. Tonight was no exception. One of his Kage Bunshin ran up with the flowers. We got lucky, boss, the clone announced. Ino wasn't closing the shop tonight. Not that I mind Ino, she's a friend and all, Naruto admitted. But you're right. There's no way we could keep things quiet with her finding out. I don't want things getting blown out of proportion. The Hyuga elders might get even more pissy. The Kage Bunshin nodded before dispelling. Naruto picked up the pace and was pleased that the Hyuga watching the gate was firmly in Hayashi's camp. Good evening, Naruto-san, the Hyuga. Hohito, if Naruto remembered correctly, greeted the young Chunin. Evening. Naruto responded warmly. He noticed that Hohito was carefully judging him. It was something Naruto was sadly used to, but by no means had accepted. Is something wrong, Hohito-san? Nothing, the Hyuga quickly assured Naruto. Hohito was cursing himself silently. Hayashi-sama had warned him about how to approach Naruto. The years of social pressure to judge the Uzumaki boy to unrealistically harsh standards were not easily overcome. I was admiring your choice of attire. Naruto knew he was being slightly bullshitted, but decided not to alienate any potential allies within the Hyuga clan. Thanks. Truthfully, Naruto was dressed nicely. He was wearing a dark blue dress shirt, khaki slacks, a brown leather belt, and brown lace-up leather shoes. Naruto hadn't gone for the casual untucked look either. Everything was in place. Hohito was impressed. I'm sure Hinata-sama will enjoy tonight, Hohito said as a placating gesture. Naruto smiled and nodded at the gesture. He decided to leave well enough alone and headed into the compound. His first stop was going to be Hayashi's office. The Hyuga head was helping him out, so it was the least he could do. Excuse me, Uzumaki-san? An elderly female voice Naruto vaguely recognized called out. That's me. What do you need, Tashiko? Naruto scrambled to remember the woman's name. The elderly matron nodded politely. Are you looking for Hayashi-sama, young sir? Naruto hummed. I'm trying to stay on his good side, Naruto finished with a joke and a smile. I am afraid that Hayashi is not able to see anyone at the moment. His condition is delicate. Tashiko hated to be the bearer of bad news, especially to a young person before his first date. How are Hinata-chan and Hanabi holding up? Naruto asked. The elderly Hyuga smiled as gently as she could. Hayashi-sama put on a brave face for his daughters. I think tonight's festivities are providing some much-needed levity. It will bring them happiness and a positive event to focus on. I'll be sure to make this a night to remember for Hinata-chan, Naruto promised. Would you and the others be mad if I left a couple Kage Bunshin here? One would be a way to alert me and Hinata-chan if something went bad. The others would be there to fill us in on our way back. I don't think anyone would object, Tashiko said warmly. It must be nice having such robust chakra capacity. I would have loved to be able to make so many Kage Bunshin. That would have been very helpful while raising 3 children. Naruto smiled at the genuine good cheer of the woman's voice. He could feel the weight of Hayashi's condition lift off his shoulders. Thanks, Naruto responded warmly and made a trio of Kage Bunshin. Your children went on dates, right, Tashiko-san? Several, Tashiko answered with an almost overly amused grin. She had been worried about how the young man would approach Hinata-sama. The young woman was well liked and faith in her leadership potential was more evident after his confident match against Neji. Hayashi's attempts to reconcile with his eldest daughter had also been viewed as a positive step. The combination of Hinata's gentle nature, the Hyuga's positive and improving opinion of the possible heiress, and Naruto's reputation caused the worry. Luckily, Naruto's reputation was very wrong. The boy was simply unaccustomed to societal niceties, but was very eager to learn and gain acceptance. I know where Hinata-chan's room is. Do I go straight there or do I wait here? Tashiko shook her head at the curious and expectant look on all for Naruto's faces. Please wait here. I will inform Hinata-sama of your arrival. Okay, Naruto agreed. He turned to his clones and pointed to the left-hand clone. Alright, you go find Hayashi-sama and stick with him unless the doctor says otherwise. Middle, you stay sorta nearby. What about me? The final clone asked. Naruto grinned. Simple, I want you to hang out with Niji. Niji, the clone repeated. The guy that nearly killed Hinata-chan and said he was going to kill us. Hey, Gaara threatened to kill us and nearly did. If I can forgive Gaara, then I can forgive Niji eventually. Anyway, just go see if he's free to train sometime. The clones nodded and scattered. Naruto was left alone with nothing but the flowers he had bought, his budding sense of anticipation, and curiosity about what Hinata was doing right now. This is going to be a complete abuse of my position as a member of the main family, Hanabi announced solemnly before pointing a finger at Korea. But we are going shopping as soon as I can kidnap you from the elders and the archives. Korea sat on the edge of Hinata's bed and smiled. But how will those stodgy old men get anything done without us? They won't, Hanabi answered quickly. Which is amazing, because they won't be able to screw up the clan for a while. Heck, they might decide that since we do everything anyway, they should just go sit on a can of prune juice and leave running the clan to intelligent and beautiful young women like ourselves. I'd like that, Korea heartily agreed. You would join us, wouldn't you, Hinata-sama? If I wasn't on a mission or occupied. Hinata acquiesced over the hammering of her heart, and the coursing torrent of her adrenaline. Occupied, is that an antiquity tongue word for making out with Naruto-kun? Hanabi teased her Wani-sama. Hinata's blush was made ever the brighter by the color of her dress. She attempted to control the imagery Hanabi had seeded in her mind. As her sister and one of her close friends happily chatted about how the civilian-style shopping in Konoha was improving, Hinata narrowly prevented a mental overload. Do either of you know anything about Natsumayashi? Hinata asked in an attempt to both give her mind something other than her racy daydreams and to become involved in Korea-chan and Hanabi-chan's conversation. I'm sorry, Hinata-sama, Korea apologized. I haven't had any luck. Besides, it'll be more fun as a surprise. I know you'll enjoy everything about tonight, Hanabi added. Hinata nodded. I did tell Naruto-kun I'd be happy to just eat cup ramen on a park bench if it meant we could spend time together. Any further teasing or fretting was forestalled by a knock at the bedroom door. Hinata-sama, may I come in? You may, Tashiko-san, Hinata announced. The Hyuga matron gasped. You look lovely, Hinata-sama. Naruto-san can barely contain his excitement already. When he sees how lovely he looks, young Naruto will be rendered speechless. I can't imagine Naruto-kun speechless, Hinata countered shyly. Hinata-sama, you won't need your imagination for a fact of reality, Tashiko said firmly. Her tone and her eyes softened as a smile graced her lips. I dare say that you'll enjoy the moment you realize the power you've got over Naruto-san. Power? Korea asked with a twinge of confusion. The looks on Hinata and Hanabi's faces made it clear they were extremely curious as well. Oh yes, the retired kunoichi bragged. It is a power all women wield. With it, we can turn kage, street sweepers, daimyo, doctors, and generals into putty. The girls all seemed eager to learn more about this power. Hinata's eagerness was cut short by a gasp and a tremble of shock. Wait, Hinata's mouth was suddenly rendered very dry by the heat in her face. You mean he's here? Naruto was feeling a bit nervous. Tashiko was taking a very long time. As he waited, the young man's mind started to wander to what Hinata would be wearing. Naruto's mind was inordinately focused on Hinata's attire. The reason was very simple. Naruto, finally some might say, had realized that Hyuga Hinata was an incredibly beautiful young woman that was crazy about him. I'm pretty sure that I'm crazy about her now, Naruto admitted mentally. He knew that Hinata wasn't backing out. She seemed to have enjoyed the kiss if the laughter and excited jumping Naruto had heard that night was anything to go by. The pretty sure decided to strike out on its own as Hinata practically glided. That adjective proceeded to launch a coup against all higher brain functions. The new overlord of Naruto's brain only allowed him to focus on Hinata and a few of the details he could comprehend. Naruto gulped. He wasn't sure how he was supposed to react. Drooling was a no-go for obvious social reasons. The Hyuga were too politically important for one. Most importantly, Hinata wasn't a steaming bowl of ramen placed in front of Naruto after a day of training with Erosenin, even if she was hot. Naruto finally regained enough of his wits to comprehend what Hinata was wearing for the evening. The dress was very Hinata, Naruto thought. It wasn't short and maintained her modesty well. The dress also played to Hinata's, well earned by Naruto's reckoning, newfound confidence. Hinata wore the satin and lace dress as if it was a second skin. The description did not only fit how close to naturally the Hyuga beauty was wearing the dress, but how well fitted the ensemble seemed to be. Naruto forced out. The silence was starting to drag out, and there was a creeping fear in the recesses of Naruto's mind. It was terrifying to think that the mini Jiraiya hallucination was about to rear its ugly head again. Good evening, Naruto-kun, Hinata responded while giving Naruto a subtle once-over. She had gotten part of her wish for the night. Naruto did clean up very well. Hinata was also confident that she was well on her way to having a very good night. Her boyfriend was gobsmacked by the dress. I will definitely have to thank Korea-chan for this, Hinata promised. You look great. Naruto complimented heartily. He might have been laying the enthusiasm on thick, even by his standards, but he needed to focus on something other than Hinata for a minute. Naruto had caught sight of Niji out of the corner of his eye. The older Hyuga genin was not even bothering to hide the not at all subtle message in his body language. It roughly translated to, "Don't be Jiraiya and I won't have to reintroduce you to the Hakurokujian show." Hinata blushed, and was mercifully unaware that Niji was trying his best to be protective down the hall. Naruto offered his arm. The Hyuga young woman eagerly accepted the chance to practically weld herself to the object of her affections. I could get used to this, the couple reveled mentally at the same moment. The Kage Bunshin Naruto had created were milling about the Hyuga compound. One of the clones had decided to perform an incredibly valuable service for his creator. The Kage Bunshin was going to figure out just where the hell Hinata-chan's room was from the front door of the compound. As Naruto toured the Hyuga's home, he started to appreciate just how much history the Hyuga clan possessed. Sure, the clone was aware of Naruto's studies. It was just the Kage Bunshin had never experienced it for himself. I'm still lost, Naruto lamented. He really had no clue where the heck he was. What exactly are you looking for, Naruto-kun? Korea's voice asked from behind the clone. The clone jumped in surprise. Just trying to get a bunch of memories of the layout so that the boss won't be this lost next time he's here. The taller girl raised a delicate eyebrow at the statement. Memories? I'm a Kage Bunshin. When I dispel, the actual Naruto will get my memories. Wait, Korea held up a hand. You're saying that there is a Bunshin jutsu that allows memory transfer? Kage Bunshin, Naruto confirmed. I know what you're thinking. Why doesn't Konoha teach everyone this jutsu? Memory transfer is really strong, right? Korea nodded. Ero-sennin told me that the jutsu tries to give equal amounts of chakra to each clone. That doesn't sound so bad. Korea gave Naruto a flat look. It is when you split half your chakra with a Kage Bunshin, Naruto's Kage Bunshin replied. You've got half of your creator's chakra? The Hyuga asked in shock. Naruto shrugged. I'm not really sure. I won't be seeing any combat, so I think the boss didn't put quite as much in it. Oh, Korea was amazed by the technique, but she really wasn't in the mood for work talk. I'm on my way to Hanabi-sama's quarters. I could show you where the rooms are. That'd be nice, the clone answered carefully. He wasn't sure if that was proper. If it was, great. If it wasn't, well, hopefully some of the other Kage Bunshin were distracting Niji. Korea fell back into her historian mindset as she pointed out the various details about the Hyuga compound as the pair headed towards the residential wing. Hey, Korea, can I ask you something? Yes, Naruto-kun? Korea was curious about what Naruto wanted to know. It was clear that he had put two pieces of information together. She was a Hyuga, and thus skilled at reading body language. Naruto's clone took a breath to gather his thoughts. I know you aren't thrilled about being the archivist's apprentice, but your face lights up when you talk about your clan's history. What's the story behind that? I'm not upset because the Hyuga selected me to be next archivist. Naruto-kun, I'm really not. It's how and why I'm in my current role. The pair stopped at the edge of the residential wing. The clone didn't say anything. Instinctively, he knew Korea should take the lead. Korea took a moment to collect her thoughts. I made a mistake of actually talking about my issues with the clan. Word got back to the elders and they decided to sweep me and my concerns under the rug. Besides the obvious ones, Naruto's clone pointed out. What were the issues you have? I've always been friends with Hinata-sama and Hanabi-sama. I watched the clan try to tear them apart and set them against each other. It was painful to see and I didn't hesitate to confide in others about it. I got lucky. When the elders found out, they didn't activate the seal. Instead, I was quickly promoted. I guess I was lucky that I wasn't tortured, just put under house arrest for the rest of my life. How can they get away with taking you off the active roster? Naruto asked. Because archivist is a vital and honorable position in the Hyuga clan. I am technically training to be a member of the Hyuga Council, but as a cadet I won't have any official voice in clan politics. At least until I make good on my promise to Niji. Then you'll have one of the strongest voices in the new Hyuga clan. Naruto's declaration was so powerful, earnest, and fervent that Korea didn't care it was made by a shadow clone. She wanted to believe, and so she did. Hyuga Niji was honestly quite shocked by the recent events. He knew that Hiashi-sama was very keen to secure an alliance with Uzumaki Naruto. The Hyuga prodigy was in full agreement with allying with Uzumaki Naruto. In the space of a single match, Uzumaki Naruto had done more to heal the rifts within the Hyuga clan than the empty promises of the main branch had accomplished in years. Naruto's standing was helped a great deal because the younger shinobi had actually survived the Hakurokujian show. It was a minor miracle that Naruto survived the strike at all. The amount of chakra Niji was pouring into his strikes should have completely overwhelmed Naruto's chakra network. Politically, Naruto was also gathering an impressive level of support. That, Niji realized, was undoubtedly why the grumbling from the elder members of the clan was set away from the younger women of the clan. The gossip would spread quickly and no doubt reach the Hokage. No one wanted to be seen as disparaging the Hokage's favorite young shinobi. As Niji weighed the facets of Uzumaki Naruto, he was beginning to hope more and more. The promise he made in the Chunin exams wasn't so far-fetched after all. Niji didn't activate his Byakugan, but cast a quick glance around the hall. The coast was clear. Good evening, Niji spoke to a closed door. The door opened and a fellow cadet ushered Niji into a modest sitting room. We are glad you could make it, Niji-san. This meeting is too important for the future of the Hyuuga clan, Niji stated resolutely. Have the cadet elders come to a decision? We have, Hideki, one of the oldest cadets revealed. Hinata-sama and Hanabi-sama are the only leaders of the Hyuuga clan the cadets shall recognize once Hayashi finally succumbs. We still wish for a miracle as Hayashi has recently done so much to heal the rifts in our clan. However, even Tsunade-sama could not heal Hayashi-sama. The cadets must prepare for his passing. The main family elders will attempt to install a regency for Hinata-sama or Hanabi-sama. It will hold no recognized authority. I will inform Hinata-sama and Hanabi-sama of this decision. How will we counter or prevent the main family elders from abusing the Juinjutsu? Niji asked. Numbers, the cadet who let Niji into the meeting room answered. The cadets are almost entirely united in this endeavor. Abusing the Juinjutsu would be seen as a threat to Konoha's military strength in a time where no shinobi can be spared. That is a dangerous gamble, Niji cautioned. It relies on those outside of the clan being constantly aware of the inner workings of the Hyuuga. It is fortunate we have an ally from outside the clan strongly associated with Tsunade-sama, Hanabi-sama, and Hinata-sama, Niji smirked. Very fortunate indeed. Naruto wasn't exactly sure what he had been expecting tonight, but whatever it was couldn't have been this good. Shizune and Erosenin hadn't been kidding about the crowd staying away. Naruto and Hinata practically had an entire section to themselves. The crowd of regulars were all clustered near the bar listening to the music. Naruto and Hinata had spent some time just chatting about anything that came to mind. There was no rush. Hayashi hadn't said anything about a curfew. The two teenagers were going to eagerly take advantage of that omission. Hey, Hinata-chan, Naruto decided that he might as well start the main course of the date. One of the reasons he had been excited about this particular place for the date was the dancing. He had absolutely no clue how to dance, but he had memorized katas. Hinata looked up from her drink. What is it, Naruto-kun? Would you mind teaching me how to dance? Naruto asked with a grin. Of course. Hinata agreed immediately. Then, the blush started migrating northwards. The Hyuuga beauty quickly realized certain details about the looming situation. First, she would make close physical contact with Naruto. Second, the contact would be very intimate. Her mind was in complete overload. Desire and self-doubt waged a bitter battle for dominance. Desire and hope received unexpected reinforcements in the form of a strangely familiar look on Naruto's face. Where have I seen that look? Hinata wondered. It then hit her. Naruto had donned an expectant and hopeful look that could only be compared to Akamaru begging for people food. Hinata had to fight the urge to activate her Byakugan to check for a giant plate of bacon. She quickly realized that she, metaphorically speaking, was Naruto's giant plate of bacon. The Byakugan princess had heard several of the older Hyuuga women describe a devastating weapon in the Kunoichi arsenal, the puppy dog look. Hinata had made use of it before against father. It had worked when she was a little girl. Now that she was on the receiving end, it was clear how devastatingly effective it truly was. Naruto extended his hand. There was no way Hinata could say no to Naruto in most situations. The addition of the puppy look was just unfair. I've never danced before, the young man confessed as he led Hinata onto the dance floor. Hinata's blush was as intense as ever. It won't be too difficult, think of it like learning katas. Really? Naruto asked enthusiastically. Hinata nodded. Man, why can't they just call dance moves that? It would really make it sound like something for everyone then. Hinata smiled as she gathered her courage. Tonight hadn't been the romantic whirlwind she sometimes dreamed of, but it was still romantic. This next step would definitely add a bit to the whirlwind aspect of her idea for the date. Naruto-kun, take my hand, Hinata requested. Naruto nodded and complied. Hinata used her other hand to help guide Naruto's free hand to the small of her back. The dance began slowly and Hinata was ready to declare the evening a success. This is a lot more fun than I thought it'd be, Naruto confessed. Hinata smiled in response. So tell me about mastering that. What is it, rotation jutsu? I can't tell you much, Naruto-kun. We are in public, Hinata gently reminded her boyfriend. Luckily, Naruto realized his near gaffe. The Hyuuga maiden knew Naruto was just trying to help build her confidence. She really did appreciate the gesture. But this helped me master it. The Jinchuriki let the gears in his head work for a moment. It was a struggle as most of his mental horsepower was dedicated to ogling Hinata and a fierce internal debate. How much trouble would I be in with Hinata-chan, Hayashi, and Bacha if my hand drifted a bit? Us dancing? Naruto asked as the idea finished processing. Hinata nodded and pulled herself in closer. Naruto didn't catch the intense blush on Hinata's face or the amused wink Kurenai-sensei had sent to her favorite student. Hinata guided Naruto in the proper way to dance on a crowded floor. The music wound down, and Naruto took his turn at guiding Hinata. "Hey, Hinata-chan, do you want to get a bite to eat and talk some?" Naruto asked as they sat down at the booth they had claimed. "That sounds lovely, Naruto-kun," Hinata agreed. The night was off to such a wonderful start, and the last couple of days had been almost so perfect that Hinata's former self-deprecation was silent. The pair sat quietly for a moment after Naruto had motioned over a waiter. Natsumayashi had long served younger shinobi and most of their more extravagant drinks were also alcohol-free. This delighted Hinata as she ordered a very ornate fruit drink. Naruto was somewhat intimidated by the menu, which included 8 different types of sake and 4 types of water, simply ordered some type of spring water with a fancy name. "Hinata-chan," Naruto gathered his thoughts. "I want to help you with your clan however I can." "Thank you, Naruto-kun," Hinata responded politely. "I am worried about what will happen after father passes. Hayashi's a tough guy. He'll be around for a long time," Naruto assured Hinata. The Hyuga heiress smiled at the attempt to raise her spirits. "Father is very strong. I am surprised by how quickly he has taken to you." "We share a common interest," Naruto admitted with a grin. "What is that?" The Jinchuriki leaned back in his seat and lit up the darkened room with a smile. "You. Happy?" Hinata wasn't sure that leaping across the table to kiss Naruto would be appropriate, especially given that Kurenai was at the restaurant. She also was desperately trying not to cry tears of joy at the declaration. Naruto's reaction wasn't something she could predict at this point, and Hinata certainly didn't want to upset him. "This is already one of the best nights of my life, Naruto-kun," Hinata murmured dreamily. "Oh yeah," Naruto agreed. The conversation was light and Naruto had come close to revealing Hayashi's request a few times. Though the idea of marrying Hinata was becoming more appealing by the second, he wanted Hinata to have a say in the matter. So, that meant more dates, which was something Naruto could definitely appreciate. The couple's drinks arrived quickly. Naruto and Hinata took a few minutes to quiz each other on some of their favorite things. Naruto high-fived his girlfriend, much to the amusement of several of the other patrons, when he discovered that they shared a love of sensei. They both enjoyed similar movies, but disagreed on which Funheim movie was the best. Their faux debate ended in an uncontrollable fit of giggles and laughter. "Would you like to dance again?" "It looks like the band is about to start back up," Naruto suggested. Hinata's smile was the only answer Naruto needed. Sarutobi Asuma would never admit it, but seeing Kurenai attempting to will herself Yamanaka mind abilities was one of the greatest sources of entertainment he had experienced in several months. He had always known Kurenai was protective of her young Hyuga charge. This was the first time he had seen just how protective she was of Hinata. It was endearing, really. "Kurenai, she's fine. The Uzumaki kid has been stepping up," Asuma tried to assure his extremely beautiful associate/companion/sort of official girlfriend. The Genjutsu mistress sighed. "I know, but I've just been Hinata's tutor and guardian since the academy. The past few months have been incredibly trying for us all." "She'll be fine," Asuma repeated. "You've trained her too well, and don't forget who she's with." Kurenai nodded. "Flattery gets you everywhere." "You're also right. I feel much better since she's with Naruto. He did fight for her honor against Niji, which was a pretty ballsy move. Kid definitely earned his Chunin vest," Asuma added. Kurenai was only half listening to Asuma's statement about Uzumaki Naruto's promotion. "It looks like they are about to leave. I want to check with Hinata for a moment." "Alright," Asuma chuckled as he lit a cigarette. "I'll distract Uzumaki from his girlfriend for a bit." He hadn't seen this side of Kurenai before. In fact, he wasn't even sure Kurenai knew how to fret before tonight. "Oh well, this gives me something to tease her about later." The two jonin quickly crossed the restaurant and intercepted the Hyuga heiress and the Uzumaki Chunin. "Hinata!" Kurenai called out. "I just noticed you were here." Pretty much everyone could tell that wasn't the truth, but decided to go along with it. Asuma subtly pulled Naruto aside. The son of the late third Hokage smiled weakly at Naruto. Women, Naruto agreed. Off to the side, Kurenai was whispering with Hinata. Naruto turned to Asuma as he failed to decipher just what the heck was going on. "Don't feel bad," Asuma interjected. "I'm a jonin and I have no clue what they are saying most of the time. That makes me feel better." Hinata gave her teacher a hug as the conversation died down. The two groups split up after a few pleasantries. Naruto appreciated that Asuma was just as eager to get on with his date with Kurenai as Naruto was to continue his with Hinata. "Kurenai-sensei seemed happy to see you," Naruto observed with a bit of an amused snicker. Hinata covered her mouth to hide her giggle. "I wasn't expecting sensei to fret." "Fret? You mean worry?" Naruto asked for confirmation, which Hinata provided with a mirthful nod. "I thought she was going to give you a full field check." "That would have been difficult in this dress," Hinata added. "It looks awesome, by the way." "I know I said it earlier, but yeah." Naruto trailed off appreciatively. Hinata decided that now was the perfect time to embrace a sense of boldness. The Hyuga heiress activated her Byakugan. Naruto noticed his girlfriend's active bloodline and entered into a combat stance on instinct. It was embarrassing for all of a picosecond that he even prepared for trouble and in a fighting stance that Hinata caught him completely, utterly, and gloriously off guard. His embarrassment was ruthlessly and violently suppressed by every other aspect of his being as Hinata kissed him. Naruto had only felt this kind of fire from Hinata once before, during the fight against Neji. This situation blew through that moment like Orochimaru's great breakthrough. For one, the chances of Hinata getting hurt in this moment were negative. Naruto was fairly certain that he'd punch out the Kyuubi if the fox showed up to ruin the moment. Second, the last time Naruto had felt Hinata's determination, it had been dulled by distance and Naruto's unfamiliarity with Hinata. Now, he was basking in its intensity and closeness. There was no substitute for proximity. Hinata and Naruto weren't sure how long they had indulged in the moment, or when Naruto had thrown his arms around Hinata. The two decided that an investigation into a breath-holding jutsu was now the third best idea ever. First, respectively, was each other. The continuation of their previous activity was an extremely close second. Naruto and Hinata's hormones engaged in a fierce, and oh so rewarding, running battle from a location roughly near Natsumayashi to within sight of the Hyuga compound. Unfortunately, if Hinata and Naruto could see the Hyuga compound, then those in the compound could see the couple. That pumped the brakes on the pair's rather intense moment. They took a moment to mostly compose themselves. Tonight was amazing, Hinata-chan, Naruto declared. Oh, one of the best nights of my life, Hinata agreed. She quickly stole a kiss and headed into the gates. Naruto sighed as he felt his Kage Bunshin dispel. He had a ton of memories to sort through. They were all rather pleasant, which would help putting them all in place. Honestly, I'm tempted to ask Hayashi if I can move in at this point, Naruto thought as trudged towards his apartment complex. I'm home, he announced to his shadowed bed, desperately wishing Hinata's voice would call out to greet him. There was a voice at the edge of Naruto's perception doing the mental equivalent of poking him in the side. The young Chunin was perfectly content to ignore the voice as it didn't belong to Hinata, wasn't announcing his promotion to Tokubetsu Jonin, or telling him that he had an urgent mission. Whatever the voice wanted, it could wait a few more minutes. Besides, Naruto knew it wasn't a threat. His three disguised Kage Bunshin would have reacted to any hostile intruders. Damn it, brat. The sheer force of his somewhat obnoxious sensei's command caused Naruto to skyrocket out of his bed. What the heck, Ero-sennin? Brat, time for you to act like a Chunin, Jiraiya announced proudly. I know you've been bitching at Kakashi for another high-ranking mission since Wave. Well, today is your lucky day. It is? Naruto asked hopefully. I'm being promoted again? Jiraiya rolled his eyes. Not yet. You're coming with me on a mission. I'll brief you as we go. This is urgent and B-rank. B-rank? Naruto asked hopefully. Did I stutter, brat? Naruto shook his head and began the process of collecting his gear. Jiraiya decided to take advantage of his illustrious position as Naruto's mentor and helped himself to the fridge. A somewhat reluctant, but still satisfied snicker escaped from Naruto's lips as Ero-sennin realized Naruto's fridge was almost empty. What's going on in there, Ero-sennin? Naruto called out as he pulled his flak jacket on. There was the sound of a pen scratching on paper. The blonde-headed Chunin wasn't about to let the Toad Sage contribute to the world's porn supply from his kitchen. Jiraiya had his own desk for that, damn it, writing some orders for when we get back. You will be going grocery shopping when this mission is complete. I'm not going to have you falling into the bachelor cliché on my watch. The Uzumaki rolled his eyes as he put the last of his supplies in his go bag. He quickly made a Kage Bunshin and motioned towards the window. The clone instinctively knew what his creator was asking. As the Bunshin bolted towards the other end of Konoha, Naruto strolled into the kitchen. So, where is this mission going to be? Tenten was convinced something huge was up. She had gone to the Hyuga compound on several occasions. Mostly, visiting Konoha's strongest clan was all business. Neji had to be collected for missions by someone. It was obvious that until the invasion that it couldn't be Lee. The rivalry between Lee and Neji had been pretty toxic until Naruto had beaten some sense and actual human emotion into Neji during the finals. The current visit to the Hyuga compound had nothing to do with Team Guy. The weapons mistress had originally thought it had nothing to do with Neji. That was before I realized that the invitation came from Hayashi and that he used my family's name. Tenten was a bit rebellious. Her family was a civilian merchant clan. In fact, the young woman described them as civilian-tastic. Her mother didn't approve of Tenten's tombishness. Such masculinity will interfere with the proper match, was a refrain Tenten was infuriatingly familiar with. There's a difference between being a wife and a waif, Tenten thought grumpily. Tenten. Tenten heard Naruto call out. What are you doing here? Not really sure. What are you doing here? Tenten questioned. I'm not exactly here, clone, Naruto finished while helpfully thumbing at his chest. The boss wanted me to let Hinata-chan know he had to leave on an urgent mission. So, the Hyuga are kosher with you two taking the next step from the blood vow? The Naruto clone chuckled. It was a mix of amused and vindictive. There are 4 Hyuga whose opinion I care about whether I'm dating Hinata-chan or not. Luckily for me, they all approve. Is Hayashi-sama one of them? Yup, Naruto confirmed. Is that who you're meeting with? Tenten nodded, but didn't say anything. The Hyuga valued their secrets. A cadet guard waved Tenten and Naruto in without a challenge. In fact, the guard was as human as the young Kunoichi could remember a Hyuga being. Naruto and Tenten quickly separated inside the compound. The clone of Naruto dashed off towards the residential wing. Tenten pulled the message she had received from Hayashi out of her omnipresent weapons pouch. The head of the hyuuga made it clear their meeting was to be private. The young weapons prodigy followed the directions and arrived at Hayashi's private office. Enter. Hayashi's voice strained through the door. We have much to discuss, Tenten-san, and little time. Yes, sir, Tenten said so quickly her reply came out as a single word. She had never really met Hayashi-sama, but recalled the venom Niji once used when speaking of his uncle. I came as soon as possible. For that, Hayashi said from behind his desk. You have my gratitude. Niji's kunoichi teammate got a good look at Hayashi for the first time. He, to put it mildly, looked like shit. Niji had expressed concern over the effects of Kumo's poison on his uncle. It appeared that Niji had decided that his life's mission was to make up for Lee's enthusiasm by understating everything. That utter bastard. She still liked him, though. A bit maybe. Tenten-san, your family is an up-and-coming clan of successful merchants and ambitious. They seek to marry you off to a noble clan. Yes. Tenten was certain this conversation was going to lead to an incredibly awkward place. She was fairly certain Niji had finally taken the freaking hints and was going to ask her on a date. Hayashi seemed to be set on speeding up the potential relationship to a speed once reserved for the Yondaime Hokage. Hayashi clearly knew where this conversation was heading and it really looked like he had done this before. Tenten wasn't sure she should be comforted that he knew what the Hyuga clan head knew what he was doing or terrified that she was the second, or third, go-round. I will not live long. Once I am dead, the Hyuga traditionalists will move to punish me for my years of manipulating them to protect my daughters. My preparations to safeguard Hinata are in motion. Niji needs protection. The traditionalists, the fools, have begun investigating marrying Niji to an allied clan far from Konoha. The terms they have discussed would effectively end Niji's career. He would be promoted to Chunin and spend the rest of his days with an insufferable harpy patrolling the trade routes of a backwater. That's Tenten struggled to find an appropriate word. Eventually, she decided to follow her gut. Bullshit. Niji's the most talented shinobi of our generation. That would screw the entire village over. Can you imagine how that would tear Lee up? He's been ecstatic, well, even more than usual, about Niji being his friend. Those two are going to be amazing. Hayashi was smiling. That wasn't exactly what Tenten had been expecting. The smile also seemed nostalgic. Hayashi-sama has done this before. I may have a solution to several of our quandaries. Tenten gulped. You're going to suggest Niji and I sign a marriage contract, yes? A contract, Tenten whispered as she mulled it over. Doesn't sound too bad. Hayashi nodded. It is a solution to many of the current obstacles to your shinobi careers. I mean no disrespect, but I cannot see you as a housewife. You are a kunoichi, first a soldier, and that is something to take pride in. That was the first time a high-ranking shinobi had told her that she should take pride in herself. It was also the first time anyone higher-ranking had basically said it was alright to want what she wanted. I'd be lying to myself if there wasn't part of me that wanted Niji, Tenten confessed to herself. What do I have to tell my parents? The Hyuga clan had smiled. That the Hyuga clan is supremely interested in an alliance. My parents might have questions. I will do my best to answer them. I am sure they would be eager to discuss them over a meal. It was only due to the shock of the situation and realizing where she was that Tenten didn't snort. Her mother wouldn't be eager. Tenten's mom would probably move to camp out in the Hyuga compound to work out the details of the contract. The conversation continued a few moments longer, before Tenten decided that this was the best possible time to make a break for it. I can't believe how close Hayashi is to biting the dust. What the heck kind of poison did Kumo use to wreck him like that? There was nothing for Tenten to do for Hayashi. If Tsunade-sama could only slow and ease his passing, then Tenten was as useful, medically, as Lee and Guy were fashionably useful. Hayashi still seemed to be in complete control, which was good. That meant as long as he was alive, Niji had a chance to not be screwed over by the Hyuga elders. Tenten was half hoping to see Niji, but as she didn't see her teammate as she worked her way through the Hyuga home, the infuriating, poised, a handsome, and all-around genius Hyuga Niji was nowhere to be seen. The kunoichi of Team Guy was curious to find out what Naruto thought about all this Hyuga craziness. The guy had beaten a Biju. Hayashi playing matchmaker couldn't be that crazy. Alas, the two guys she was looking for weren't anywhere to be seen. Man, I wish I had the Byakugan sometimes. It was a bit of a hazy walk back to her house. She instinctively took the stairs to her mother's favorite sitting room. It was late in the morning and her mother followed a very specific schedule. Mother, Tenten said somewhat formally. The soldier knew instinctively where her mom would be. I have returned from meeting with Hyuga Hayashi-sama. Tenten's mother looked up from her paperwork. What did Hayashi-sama wish to discuss? He, wants to set up a marriage contract between Niji and myself. The reaction wasn't too surprising. That didn't mean Tenten wasn't scared a bit when her mom fainted. Naruto's clone had a very specific purpose for its existence. It was to let Hinata know that the boss was on an important mission. He was to fill Hinata-chan in on a few details and not be a jerk. Unfortunately, his timing wasn't great. Hinata-chan was, besides being hot and probably Naruto's future wife, an incredible hard and dedicated worker. The fact she was working with her team shouldn't have been surprising, but the clone wished the timing could have been better. At least he was somewhere that the boss was welcomed. The cadets were really supportive of Naruto dating Hinata. Naruto's clone was not that dense as to think Hinata was the only reason he had so much support. The promise to Neji was definitely making the rounds. Hayashi's death would leave Hinata and Hanabi in charge. Word among the cadets was that the seal would be abolished or substantially altered sooner rather than later. No wonder Shuichi hated Naruto's guts. That thought boosted the clone's mood. He just wished someone was around. Hanabi was probably with her team and Korea was supposedly off doing something scroll-related. All 3 people I actually want to see are gone, Naruto grumbled. He supposed he could try to see if Neji was around. Worth a shot. If he was honest, Naruto honestly preferred wandering the Hyuga compound to his apartment. His apartment was pretty much just a place to sleep. Here at the Hyuga compound, Naruto had someone to come back to, and in this case, someone was coming home to him. That was worth as much to Naruto as his flak jacket. Naruto tracked down Neji after asking a Hyuga he wasn't familiar with for directions. The Jinchuriki's Chunin exam finals opponent was in a library studying something. Neji looked up from a book that Naruto thought was something about laws. The Chunin didn't get a good look at it before Neji looked up. Naruto, it is good to see you here, Neji greeted Naruto with only a tiny bit of smugness. It was friendly though, so Naruto didn't take offense. Sup Neji? Naruto responded. Have you seen Hinata-chan today? Hinata-sama left at 4 this morning for dawn recon training with her team. I believe she will return shortly, Neji responded dutifully. As for myself, Gai-sensei and Lee have left Konoha to represent our village in a ritualistic strong fist tournament. Tenten and I are on reserve until our sensei and teammate returns. Tenten was here earlier, Naruto's clone mentioned. Neji nodded. I was training and noticed that she arrived around the same time you did. You didn't go talk to her? Naruto asked in shock. Neji and Tenten were teammates. It struck him as very odd. The Hyuga genius looked nervous. It honestly freaked Naruto out a tiny bit. The situation is complicated. Complicated in that you like her? Neji blushed at Naruto's candid observation. Naruto only laughed harder, which intensified the blush. It was a vicious, if hilarious, cycle. Maybe the clone could wait around until Hinata-chan got back. Neji was going to be his brother-in-law anyway. Alright, brat, Jiraiya said as they came to a halt somewhere outside Konoha. It's time to fill you in on this mission. We've put it on the books as a B rank, but odds are it'll be kicked up to A rank. Asset extraction is always a risky op. Even if the ranking isn't bullshit like Wave, odds are the bad guys are going to come after the asset anyway, Naruto added. The Toad Sage smiled at his apprentice. You're thinking like a real shinobi now. This asset is definitely at risk, which is why we are extracting him in the first place. Naruto nodded and gave his teacher a get-on-with-it look. Jiraiya continued to smile proudly at his student. The Chunin vest, and being seemingly welded to Hayashi and the Hyuga, had given Naruto a booster shot of patience. Jiraiya could definitely advance a few plans now that Naruto had learned to mostly sit still when he needed to. The asset is Kitoji Takao. He is a mid-level bureaucrat in the town of Tanito. I know what you're thinking, Jiraiya revealed with raised hands to forestall Naruto's questions. He's mid-level, he can't be that important. That's exactly why he's been such a vital asset. No one pays attention to him, and he has access to a ton of info. Pretty much everything crossing the border from rice paddies, hot water, stone, and rapids passes through Tanito eventually. Naruto hummed as he thought over what Jiraiya had just told him. So he's important to Konoha because no one pays attention to him, and he can send us this info without being noticed? Is he passing the info on for the thrill and to be acknowledged? Hot damn, kid! I'm actually impressed. You'll be angling for a promotion before I can even get us back to Konoha at this rate. The newly promoted Chunin flashed a confident, beaming smile at his perverted sensei. Hey, I'm the 6th Hokage. I have to step things up. You are certainly doing that, kid, the Toad Sage promised his godson. Haruno Sakura couldn't shake the feeling something was about to go terribly wrong in Tanito. So far, the mission had gone off without a hitch. Team 7 had been assigned to courier duty. Courier missions were usually pretty cushy, especially since corporations, guilds, and merchant houses rarely had the desire or muscle to tangle with shinobi. Sakura knew she was not exceptional, but she was confident enough in her skills to handle any average mercenary. A part of her was actually hoping for a few mercenary bands. She knew Sasuke-kun was dependable. He was a prodigy and skilled shinobi. Kakashi-sensei was a legend. The only question mark on the team was Kota. He truly was an unknown quantity. I never thought I'd be missing Naruto of all people, Sakura grumbled silently. The goofball had made Chunin before any other member of Team 7. He had really surprised everyone. Sakura would never admit this out loud, but she was honestly really happy for Naruto. Now that he wasn't harassing her, she would freely admit he was actually a nice if boisterous guy. Shaking her head to clear her thoughts, Sakura dashed up to Kakashi. Sensei, what is it, Sakura? She chewed her lip for a moment. I can't shake the feeling something is up. I don't think the client is dishonest, but Kakashi grinned behind his mask. That level of paranoia was perfectly healthy and was a positive sign in Sakura's development as a kunoichi. What are your instincts saying? Do we know anything about the situation in Tanito? Is there anything that would make the village hostile? Sakura asked. Tanito is a major trading hub. There is the usual organized crime, but none of the families would be dumb enough to mess with us. We are from Konoha, after all. Even if they are backed by a rival village, no one would be willing to risk a major war over attacking us. The threat of massive retaliation is a wonderful way to ensure politeness. The pinkette pondered her teacher's words before smiling. I'm still going to be careful. I don't want this to be another wave. Don't worry, Kakashi said with a flourish. We got through wave. We'll get through this. Her overt fears were quickly allayed. The rest of the trip into Tanito was actually pleasant. Koda was painfully average, but a really nice guy. Sakura could get used to having him on the team. Tanito was a small city, but was growing rapidly. Several trade routes converged on the city. That led to a city that was growing rapidly in both wealth and population. Unfortunately, the explosion of wealth was not even. The gap between haves and have-nots was incredible. That was a giant alarm bell for Team 7. Wealth disparity of this level was a perfect breeding ground for crime and slums. Urban slums were among the best hiding places for missing Nin. This could be an ambush. Sasuke spoke for the first time in a long time. Kakashi remained in the impassive mask he had adopted. The second Tanito could see the shinobi. Our objective is 3 blocks to the north. We have to move. Koda was caught off guard by his new sensei's sudden change in demeanor, but recovered quickly. Of course, Kakashi-sensei. The 3 Konoha shinobi departed in perfect formation, but they were not unnoticed. A small child ducked into a service tunnel and ran at full speed to a small speakeasy. The young girl knocked on the door. Message for Sunio-san. What? A slightly older voice asked from the other side of the thick metal door. He said I'd get Rio if I saw special headbands. I saw 3 that looked like leaves. One guy looked kinda scary. He only had one eye, the girl reported dutifully. Wait right there. The young man shouted. Tamatsu quickly rushed to his leader's location. Sunio-sama. Konoha shinobi. One of our pigeons just reported in. She said one only has a single eye. Sunio emerged from the shadowed alcove he was using as his bedroom. One eye. That can only mean one thing, Hatake Kakashi. Find out who else was with him. Of course, Sunio-sama. Tamatsu responded with a bow and ran back to the door. Junko, babe, time to get up, Sunio spoke in a gentle tone to his lover. The ebony-skinned kunoichi stretched luxuriously. I heard. Hatake Kakashi Konoha definitely knows we are after Kitoji if they sent the copy Nin. Hopefully, he has his students with him. We can only hope. Attack the kids and throw that bastard off his game, Sunio agreed. Tamatsu returned quickly. There are 2 boys. One was wearing a blue shirt and white shorts. The other was wearing black pants and a black vest. The one girl had pink hair. That's most of Kakashi's team. Wasn't there a blonde-haired kid that beat Gato? Junko asked as she emerged from the bedroom. Rumor has it that kid is a favorite of the Hokage, Sunio shrugged. Odds are he's been shifted to another job. Only Kumo has more nepotism than Konoha, Junko snorted. She turned to the furiously blushing Tamatsu. Go get the others. Tell them to meet at Junction 4. Sure thing, the boy stammered and ran off. Sunio rolled his eyes at the very beautiful and very naked kunoichi. Did you have to tease the kid like that? What? He's a loyal kid. Don't you think he deserves a reward? Junko quizzed her partner. This was supposed to be a day off while the idiots did some scouting. I was looking forward to more than just one good fuck, the freelance shinobi lamented. Junko pressed up tight against Sunio. More incentive to kill Kakashi and his brats, then. Think about all the bounty money. We could head south and retire. Only take jobs when we felt like killing something, spend the rest of the day on some tropical beach. Kids? Sunio prodded hopefully. At least 4, Junko answered. I'm really going to kill that blocking Konoha, Sunio griped. Uzumaki Naruto knew a fundamental fact of the universe. Pretty girls got a lot of attention, but they could pretty much go wherever they wanted. He watched as one of his sexy Jutsu shadow clones wandered through the market district noticed but unnoticed. Mom will want us to grab a few more items, Naruto stated in his assumed form. Jiraiya, hinged to appear like a father to Naruto's disguise, looked down at the list. If that shipment isn't in, we're going to be in so much trouble. Don't worry, it won't be that bad, will it? The conversation appeared to be a normal father-son oh god, Mom is going to kill us if we screw this up conversation. In reality, it was an on-the-fly code. Naruto was reporting he had a few transformed shadow clones running around. Jiraiya was complaining that Takao had decided that today of all days was the time to go off schedule. Naruto was asking how much of a crapfest they were about to walk into. We're on a schedule, Jiraiya reminded the disguised Naruto. The answer was generic enough not to require the code. But I think we need a break. Lunch? The mention of food caused a roar that was either a feed-me growl from a teenage stomach, or the Kyuubi roaring for its freedom. Neither shinobi was exactly sure what the source of the inhuman roar actually was. Lunch, Naruto readily agreed. Master and apprentice strolled casually into a nearby restaurant. They quickly got a table and a menu. Let's not talk about our errand, brat, Jiraiya mentioned offhandedly. What do you want to talk about? Naruto left the agreement, and the Erosenin left unsaid. Jiraiya leaned forward with a grin that promised embarrassing trouble. How are things with the girlfriend? Naruto actually squawked in surprise at the question. The interaction between father and son earned a chuckle from the waitress and one of the cooks who was out of the kitchen. Really good, Naruto admitted. Her dad seems to like me and her brother hasn't tried to kill me yet. That is half the battle, kid, Jiraiya assured Naruto. The Uzumaki Chunin really enjoyed moments like this. It gave him a taste of what he had been denied earlier in life. Naruto also got a positive example of how to interact with his future kids. That was one thing the shinobi craved more than anything, a family of his own. He had a lot of surrogates that he treasured beyond measure, but there was a fundamental spark missing. Still, Naruto wouldn't trade the trajectory of how his life was going for anything. Hinata, Korea, and Hanabi were laughing as they entered the Hyuga compound. They had all decided to meet up for brunch after training or working. The meal had been pleasant, and they actually did not mind returning to the Hyuga compound for once. Of course, the hope was that Naruto would be there. Their hope was rewarded as they came across Naruto debating if the Rasengan and the Kaiten were in the same family of jutsu with Niji. Hinata-sama, Hanabi-sama, and Korea-san are here, Niji revealed with a smirk. I believe they wished to speak with you. I'm not complaining, Naruto replied with a laugh. We'll continue this debate later. Niji smirked and bowed. I'll be happy to prove you completely wrong when we resume. Whatever, Naruto responded with a snort of laughter and a wave of the hand. Ladies, the girls seemed to enjoy the Naruto clone's theatrics. Hinata stepped forward. How are you, Naruto-kun? I'm good. Mind if we head over to that bench? I should fill you in on a few details, Naruto answered happily. The Uzumaki Chunin led the girls to a bench and let them sit first. He flopped down in front of them with a broad, closed-eye grin. I've got good news and badish news. Start with the bad, Hanabi chirped. It'll make the good news better hopefully? Korea and Hinata nodded in agreement. Naruto sheepishly rubbed the back of his head in one of his trademark nervous tics. I'm not Naruto in the technical sense, I'm a Kage Bunshin. It didn't take a master of perception to notice the tinge of disappointment in each girl's face. The clone quickly reapplied the initiative and continued to relay his creator's message. The boss wanted me to let you know he's on an urgent high-level mission. He left this morning and didn't have time to let you all know before Ero-sennin dragged him off. Do you know when Naruto-kun will be back? Korea asked. The clone shook his head. I know that the mission has a lot of traveling, but I can't really say much more. I understand, Clone-kun, Hinata said in her heiress voice. It was as much to prevent questions about a high-rank mission as to comfort her sister and friend. What will happen to you? The clone grinned. My orders are to spend the rest of the day with you lovely ladies and go poof so the boss can get the memories of the day. So who wants to tell me how their day went? Kitoji Takao nearly jumped out his skin when a very pretty blonde bumped into him as he left the bank. Oh, sorry Aji-san, I'm sure it was an accident, Takao stammered as the attractive gyro strutted off. She only replied with a wave and a sway of her short skirt. The mid-level bureaucrat nearly jumped as he realized there was a small sheet of paper in his hands. He certainly didn't have that a moment ago. Nervously, he pulled out a book and sat on a nearby bench. Kitoji slipped the paper in between the pages. It was a passage from one of the early Ika novels. Takao struggled to contain his relief as he applied the cipher. He was being extracted by his mysterious handler. He wants me to head to the fish market? There is nothing there. Why in the heck would I go to there? Well, I do need some food for tonight. Little did Takao know, his handler was very aware he needed some food for the evening. The fish market was also a fairly open area with lots of traffic. Masters of infiltration such as Jiraiya, and talented amateurs like Naruto, could enter and exit such a public place in a drunken sleep. Once again, the shell game that was the intrigue surrounding Kitoji Takao was evolving in a direction Inuzuka Kiba would probably call a complete and total shitstorm. Tamatsu gulped as he looked to the small force Sunio-sama had put him in charge of for the ambush. He was leading 3 other trainees for the clan. Sunio had provided instructions to overwhelm the Kunoichi and the no-name kid. Manabu and his twin Manami were tasked with handling the Uchiha. Sunio-sama and his wife would lead the most experienced members of the clan in an attempt to handle the legendary Hatake Kakashi. The remaining 6 members of the clan had the most important task of all: kill Kitoji Takao. Tamatsu saw the Konoha team enter the market from the east. They were heading towards a food stall. A cart across the plaza was knocked over by a number of kids playing football. The owner started yelling at the kids and was gesturing wildly. It was the signal. Tamatsu's team wasn't to engage until Sunio-sama got the drop on Hatake Kakashi. The waiting was easily the worst part. Tamatsu had faith in his semi-adopted family, but even as a young unaffiliated shinobi, Tamatsu was well aware of the legend of Hatake Kakashi. A speeding torrent of water heralded the opening of the assault. Now, Tamatsu signed. Katsuro and Kyoko. Start with the Kunoichi. She's been with Kakashi since the beginning. The twins unleashed their earth ripple jutsu and Tamatsu couldn't help but smile as the Kunoichi was knocked off her feet. Tamatsu signed for his team to suppress the Kunoichi with shuriken. Phase 2 was in process. Manabu and Manami were 2 of the most skilled shinobi in the clan and Tamatsu couldn't help but feel his spirits soar at the sight of them engaging the Uchiha. Confident in his clanmates, Tamatsu ordered Katsuro and Kyoko to join him in attacking Kakashi's other 2 students. I knew this would happen. The pink-haired kunoichi cried out as she struggled to dodge the shuriken being thrown by Tomatsu's team. She talks too much, Tomatsu thought sardonically as he began to engage the kunoichi in taijutsu. It was honestly shocking how completely average a ninja from one of the great shinobi villages could be. She blocked a few strikes, but after a couple of feint kicks Tomatsu managed to land a pretty solid punch to her cheek. Katsuro was having similar success against the nondescript Konoha shinobi while Kyoko was providing support where and when it was necessary. I know she hates staying back, but she's our clan's apprentice healer. She's too valuable to risk, Tomatsu thought. Maybe I'll leave an opening for this kunoichi to get away so Kyoko-chan can get a few licks in herself. As Koda and Sakura were hard pressed by the missing nin, Uchiha Sasuke was recording a new jutsu with his Sharingan. The wind release, air bullet was an easy technique to copy, but it was not an easy technique to dodge. Sasuke could only grit his teeth in pain as he was knocked off his feet by the powerful technique. The Sharingan was a powerful weapon in his arsenal, but as with the match against Rock Lee, Sasuke just couldn't keep up physically. If I can't beat these missing nin trash, how far behind that man am I? Finally, nice to meet you, Kitoji-san, Jiraiya greeted, by way of a shadow clone, after delivering the extraction code phrase. And nice to finally meet you, Kitoji returned the greeting. Now, Jiraiya continued seamlessly. We don't have time to really have a chat as you have an entire clan of missing nin working for your bosses. They want to kill you. Lucky for you, my apprentice and I are here. We're pretty damn good at this whole shinobi thing. You can protect me in a fight? The bureaucrat asked hopefully. If we have to, Naruto finally spoke up from hanging on the ceiling. The best thing that could happen is that we slip out of here and avoid the scary people trying to kill us. But Kitoji started. Naruto grinned. If we sneak away, you won't be in any danger. Trust us. Konoha's spy nodded after several moments of thought. I will trust you. We're not going to let you down. Collect a few things you will need and bring them to your kitchen, Jiraiya ordered. As the objective dashed off to get a few items of personal importance, Naruto turned to his teacher. Just how much trouble is this going to be? For us? Not all that much. The originals have the short end of the stick here, Jiraiya explained. Kitoji returned with a number of items. Jiraiya quickly sealed the various items in a storage scroll. Well, Mr. Kitoji, shall we depart? Yes. As soon as possible. My life is in your hands, Master Ninja. The bureaucrat bowed. Jiraiya's clone threw his arms in the air. Finally! The exuberant outburst caused the civilian to flinch and Naruto to let a bark of laughter fly. Finally, some respect. Kakashi had long since uncovered his Sharingan. The missing nin assailing Team 7 were varied in skill and experience. However, the leader of this merry band of fuckwits had planned this ambush well. 6 Jonin-level opponents had attacked Kakashi at the opening of the battle. There were 4 currently alive, but one was crippled and hopefully bleeding to death. The vindictive and bloodthirsty mood coloring the copy nin's thoughts was easy enough to explain. These missing nin had pissed Kakashi off. They were systematically targeting his students. The Jonin were timing attacks so that Kakashi saw his students take several telling blows. It was clear their strategy was to piss Kakashi off enough to where he made a mistake. Of course, they hadn't counted on his Sharingan. Hang on, everyone, Kakashi seethed. As Kakashi was trying to defeat his opponents quickly, Uchiha Sasuke was being pushed beyond his limits. A new onslaught was unleashed by his opponents, and all that was keeping Sasuke alive as his Sharingan. When I survive this, I will emerge stronger, Sasuke repeated the mantra as he managed to deflect another blow from one of his assailants. His momentary triumph was rewarded by a powerful kick to his already bruised ribs. Against his will, he pulled up in pain. Sasuke created an opening that even his Sharingan couldn't compensate for. An air bullet jutsu hit him square in the chest and sent him flying. At least I copied it. Sasuke's thoughts were fluid and impossible to keep truly coherent. This was not how he expected to die, as a failure. That idiot Naruto will probably. Well, brat. It looks like we got here just in time. Wonder what that makes us? The booming voice of the Sannin Jiraiya silenced the din of battle. His fiercely radiating killing intent added to the overwhelming power of his presence. Big damn heroes, Ero Sennin. The surprisingly welcome voice of Naruto echoed across the battlefield. Jiraiya laughed as the missing nin took a step back. Ain't we just grabbed the Uchiha? One of Sasuke's opponents cried out. That's a no, Naruto countered from behind the Chunin-level opponent. A swirling ball of chakra, the famed Rasengan, crashed into the back of the missing nin. An explosion of gore was one of the last things Sasuke saw before slipping unconscious. Haruno Sakura came to outside of the town with a weary sigh. Kakashi-sensei. Kakashi was sipping a canteen nearby. Yes, Sakura? How are you? Been better. Concussed, probably, Sakura pointed out. Permission to say I told you so? Kakashi chuckled. Permission granted. Kakashi-sensei, I told you so. The copy nin chuckled. I'm glad you've developed a sense of paranoia. It is a healthy thing to have. Thanks, sensei. Sakura looked away. Are our Sasuke-kun and Koda-san alright? Jiraiya-sama and Naruto are taking Koda back to Konoha using the toads. He was hurt pretty bad. Sasuke hasn't woken up yet, Kakashi explained. Koda-san? How badly? Sakura asked in concern. Kakashi sighed. Extreme concussion and several broken ribs. If Naruto and Jiraiya-sama hadn't shown up, Koda would have died. Sensei, that sounds a lot worse than an extreme concussion and a few broken ribs, Sakura pressed. Clever girl, Kakashi praised. Unbeknownst to the other remaining members of Team 7, Uchiha Sasuke had awakened and come to a decision. Tsunade had given up on expecting anything normal from Uzumaki Naruto a long time ago. The latest mission was a B rank, but Naruto, and his old lek of a teacher, had somehow succeeded beautifully in their primary mission, arrived just in time to save Team 7 and medically extract Koda, defeated almost an entire clan of missing Nin, and all of that was 2 full days ahead of schedule. I really need to have Naruto clear out a casino for me, Tsunade joked to herself. Jiraiya would give his report later as Tsunade had ordered the Toad Sage to track down information on the missing Nin clan. Almost all had fled once Jiraiya and Naruto had arrived, but 2 had managed to be captured. The young Chunin was smiling as Tsunade entered her office. The Senju princess couldn't ignore the fact that Naruto had been sizing up, and sitting in her chair the entire time Tsunade had been out of the room. I hope you enjoyed the feel of the chair. You're still probably a few years out, kid. Nice work on the transformed Kage Bunshin. It took me a second to notice the 4 disguised as plants, a picture, and a trash can. Naruto pouted. I thought I was getting better, Naruto, Tsunade said with a sigh. For all Naruto's confidence, a great deal of it was still a front raised from early in his life as an outcast. You are getting better. How many shinobi have been in and out of the tower today? Shizen and I have not received any reports of your infiltration. I noticed it because, hello, Sanin. Oh, Naruto chuckled. I guess I've had such a good run of things, I expected to be invincible. The Hokage reached into her desk and pulled out a pair of saucers and some sake. That is a horrible mistake for anyone. You are never invincible. Thinking that way is one of the worst mistakes anyone, shinobi or otherwise, can ever make. Always seek to improve, be proud of what you have accomplished, but never think you are invincible. Yes, ma'am. It was honestly not just the right thing to say in this situation, but the only thing to say in this situation. Now, Tsunade said while pouring 2 saucers of sake. A congratulatory toast to a successful mission and your little deal with the hyuuga. I've never had alcohol before, Naruto hedged. The Godame Hokage waved off Naruto's lame protest. I chose one that's closer to water than anything. Besides, you're an Uzumaki brat. The metabolism you've been blessed with means you'd have to drink half of Konoha's alcohol supply before you get drunk. Naruto was well aware that Tsunade was using exaggerated humor. Oh, okay. To the future, Tsunade announced the toast. The future, Naruto parroted. The 2 drank and Tsunade laughed uproariously at Naruto's reaction. You drink this stuff all the time, why? Bachan, did you give me paint thinner? I promise that I did not give you paint thinner, Tsunade answered earnestly. Naruto visibly relaxed, and that was Tsunade's cue. It was nail polish remover. Are you trying to poison me? I only sat in the chair for a few seconds. The explosion from the younger shinobi caused the legendary Kunoichi to howl with laughter. It's not nail polish remover, Naruto. Worse, I gave you really cheap Rakatsake. Even worse, it's Jiraiya's favorite brand. Almost everyone I know is insane, Naruto grumbled. So should we actually do our jobs now, or, not yet, I'm not done enjoying this moment where I pranked an Uzumaki. Tsunade crowed. After a few more minutes of relentless teasing, the Hokage calmed down and began the debriefing. Naruto ran through every facet of the mission. The serious nature of Tsunade's questions and observations pushed the earlier shenanigans out of Naruto's mind. Is there anything else, Bachan? Naruto asked, exhausted from being put through the ringer. Other than to call me Hokage-sama during briefings? No, Chunin Uzumaki, I do not require anything else, Tsunade replied. Naruto got up, actually bowed, and headed for the door. That's as close as you're going to get, Bachan. Get out of here before I make up my mind whether to finger flick you all the way to IWA or tell you I'm proud of you. Tsunade called after Naruto as he left. Don't make me sneak into your office and destroy that sake. Naruto countered back. Tsunade threw back her head in laughter. Be my guest. I hate that crap. Uzumaki Naruto, you are the kindling that keeps the will of fire burning. The Hokage smiled. Her village was going to be in good hands after she retired. Naruto's greatest strength was his ability to create hope. The 5th Hokage was determined to safeguard that strength. The fact that Naruto went to the Hyuuga complex instead of his apartment didn't dawn on the Chunin until Ko ushered him towards Hayashi's office. Naruto wasn't nervous about his summons anymore. Instead, he was eager to see the head of the Hyuuga clan. I still need to figure out where he got that desk, Naruto thought. There was no way the Uzumaki shinobi would admit it publicly, but Hayashi's desk was much cooler than Bachan's desk. Good afternoon, Naruto-san, Hayashi said in greeting. Please take a seat. Thanks, Hayashi-sama, Naruto replied with a smile in his words. Having a good day? The Hyuuga clan head nodded. I am not suffering many ill effects today. Today, the younger ninja thought. That's awesome. Hayashi simply nodded and the light caught his features, revealing how ashen-faced he truly was. Ko mentions you were quite eager to speak with me in confidence. I'm always confident, Naruto thought in confusion. Brushing the feelings aside, Naruto pushed forward. I've been thinking about Hinata-chan and your offer a lot. I'm going to marry Hinata. What if Naruto has Hyuuga clan eyes and harem? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel. And leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down and thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next video.